Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
A very, very good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday, the 20th of November, and welcome to Talk. This is where the nation comes to discuss the news. Loads of you getting involved on a daily basis, and loads in the news today. Just quickly, I know it's early. If you want to be part of it, as ever, we love your text messages. 87222. Start your message with the word Talk, and we love to get your voice notes, however grumpy or happy you are of a Thursday. 0344 499 1000. What are you waking up to today? Well, you're waking up to loads of news. We'll think domestically. Domestically, nearly 500 migrants a day, hurrah, are signing up to benefits. So, as I say most mornings, if you're stuck already in a queue or you're standing in the bathroom because the heating's not worked, because the boiler's done one, you're thinking, I've got a 12-hour day, basically just to make, well, just to balance my money out because I haven't got any spare. Why don't you just go back to bed and sign on? Because that's what the migrants do. And that is a true story. News this morning that Ed Miliband's energy plan, you know, let's bring in wind farms, grab all that land from the farmers and make sure that we have clean energy. The rest of the world's not bothered, but we apparently are. He says, I'm going to make Britain cleaner. It's reported this morning that will add still furthermore another £150 to your electricity bill. And that mad Miliband could be the next Prime Minister. Couple of great stories, by the way, this morning. Hundreds of parents have accused this is just, honestly, I have to try. Hundreds of parents have accused the BBC of damaging their children with a constant drip feed of pro-trans bias. They're basing this on several examples. The best I can come up with is an episode of Doctors, this is true, when a mother said she knew her 6-year-old daughter was transgender because her best friend was a boy and he used to play in the mud. It is a big issue, isn't it? And how are schools treating and teaching our children? Are they biased? And then you get the British Broadcasting Corporation, or the big bloated bunch of whatevers. They are doing so many things wrong, be it Trump, but they're now being accused of damaging kids with their pro-transgender bias. I can tell you, apparently, we might be going to war with Russia, folks. We have a Russian spy ship which has entered British waters and tried to blind the RAF pilots with lasers. We can talk about Donald Trump, who signed the order overnight to release the Epstein files. But can I just tell you of the greatest piece of news there is? And we're just getting this clip together because we only just found it. I am going to play you a clip that's come out overnight from our Prime Minister. All I can say is this is on the back of International Men's Day yesterday. I didn't even know it was International Men's Day. But Keir Starmer, quite possibly the worst video you've ever seen in your life. It's 6:05. We say a very good morning to Charlie Rhodey. How are you?
Good morning. I'm very well, Jeremy. How are you?
I'm good. There's a spring in my step and my hat is at a jaunty angle this morning. I'm feeling good. You can't, but have you seen this Starmer video?
I haven't, but I'm on the edge of my seat, as you can imagine.
Well, you should be. Let's start with... and breaking news. The government has just announced that the rollout of 500 more breakfast clubs. Right, I'm going to throw this out straight away at 6 o'clock this morning because in this environment I have Mark, the best button pusher in the business, right, who says, what about bloody adult breakfast clubs? This might be contentious, what I'm going to say to you, right? How expensive is it to feed your kids a piece of toast or some cereal? Would I be saying the wrong thing, Charlie Rowley, to say that we are getting to a point in society where we seem to wipe the backsides of almost everybody? Why don't those people not smoke, not buy a lottery ticket or not have Sky? And I'm being completely serious. I understand this argument that many kids are born into poverty. What choices are their parents making? But also when I hear that Rachel Reeves next week might end that 2-child cap, which is basically saying to the feckless, keep procreating because we'll pay for it. I always try and bring it back to the people who are working hard and going to work right now. Breakfast clubs? Feed your own kids, yes or no? You raise an absolutely valid point because the mission creep of the state has been what are schools there to provide? And as the years have gone on, they provided breakfast clubs. They provided after-school clubs, effectively to allow kids what they would say is extracurricular activities, but it effectively allows parents to drop the kids off early, pick them off a bit later, because it fits in with a working day. OK, you might say, but now
now you're seeing kids turn up to school unable, who are not potty trained, and who have never learned how to brush their teeth. Now, those are the people, I think, really need to be sort of hauled over the coals. What parent sends their child to school, or what parent brings a life into this world and can't be bothered or feels unable, for whatever reason, to do the most basic, adequate things of preparing your child for school or for the future or for its life? Those things are certainly not the responsibility of schools. And when you hear the day-to-day stresses that teachers are under, and I know that they're under a lot of pressure, but no more pressure than I think anybody else I'd probably push back on, the idea that they now have to provide, or should be providing, even more expansion of breakfast clubs to babysit kids basically before the school day starts, I think will be questionable at a time where the public finances are very, very tight indeed.
And I think we should go back to that point. I think it's a brilliant point. Look, I'm really fortunate. My wife is the best mother in the world. My mother was the best mother in the world. I remember my mum saying, when they were first together, my dad and her, and they had the two of us, they didn't have money, right? And she would always say, you had 3 outfits. You were always clean, one in the wash, one in the ironing basket, and one on. They didn't have expensive things, but the walls were painted. There was food on the table. Parents in our day, Charlie, made sacrifices for their kids. And I think there's a massive debate here, which is, you're going to keep procreating and we're going to keep wiping your backside. If you have a child, right, you have to make sacrifices. Christian walked into the office this morning, brilliant. How proud is he? His daughter crawled for the first time yesterday. I mean, his life's now over, to be perfectly honest. But, they, as parents, would dedicate their life to that child. Me, the same. I don't understand it. And it's a little bit of a side note, but I do think, I understand the breakfast clubs for those who, yeah, but come on, take some responsibility for having a kid.
No, I think you're absolutely right, because there is I think a huge divide now, and you're absolutely right about the parenting. Look, my parents were in their 70s. My grandparents were born in 1929 and 1930, so my parents were closer to my grandparents in terms of age, and that's where I was brought up. Yeah. And they always made sure, we didn't have all that much money either, despite what people might think. But my mum and dad were, particularly my mum, was always very keen that you looked your best, that you looked smart, that your shoes were clean, that you presented yourself well, regardless of what was going on behind the scenes. Because and you got up and you worked hard and you went out and earned a living, and you did things that were proper. There is a whole group of people who I think have that mentality and have had it, but have been overshadowed for too long by people that think the state owes them, and it continues to owe them, and that it's not that they give up, they don't even try. It's all take, without actually giving anything back or trying to stand up on your own 2 feet.
That was sort of out of the ether, that. But, the government announcing a rollout of 500 more breakfast clubs. We ask you this morning, how difficult is it to feed your kids? Should you have more responsibility? That'll go down like a lead balloon. Now, I've got a surprise for you all. I've got a surprise. We'll talk about migrants, we'll talk about net zero, we'll talk about the BBC in a minute. Our Prime Minister, who's by anybody's standards having quite a difficult time, his own party want to axe him. We haven't seen his wife with him in public for ages. Nobody on the international stage takes a blind bit of notice. He gets humiliated by Donald Trump on a daily basis. He's sort of bunkered up in number 10 and occasionally releases sort of videos that we're supposed to be, like, enamoured with. Overnight, thank you, Christian, Starmer, I really, whatever you're doing, turn the radio up or just give me 30 seconds. Starmer decided to put on Instagram, for International Men's Day, an open letter to his 17-year-old son. I'll just let you make your own mind. By the way, this is to his son. Have a watch.
A letter to my son. It feels like only yesterday that we brought you home. So nervous, but so excited for the journey ahead. Today, almost unbelievably, you're already 17. You're taller than I am, and you've grown into a confident, kind, wonderful young man. And I'm so proud of you. Now, I didn't have a very close relationship with my own dad. When my mum, your grandma Jo, was sick, and she was very sick, he cared for her devotedly, but he and I never really spoke. We never really got to know each other. And I was determined that my relationship with you was going to be different. And spending time with you is one of the highlights of my week, whether it's a takeaway or going to watch the Arsenal. I do know it's not easy growing up in this day and age. I know there are pressures on young men that are difficult to talk about and questions that frankly are difficult to answer. Questions about mental health, masculinity, social media. I remember when we watched Adolescence together, and as a dad, it was tough to see at times. If I had one message for you, and for every other child growing up, it would be this: don't listen to that voice.
Right, I'm not. There's just a few. Sorry. First of all, would you not just say that to your son? Secondly, what the hell? What voice are we talking about? The voice in his head? I honestly, I'm watching that and I'm thinking, somebody in HQ of Labour has said this would be great on International Men's Day. Do a sermon to your own poor son, who's already got to handle the fact that Keir Starmer's his father, right? He had no relationship with his own father, no, because his own father, like the rest of us, realised you're a complete numpty. But honestly, how, just as a sort of slipshod of what this government is about or what that man is about, that is so divorced from any reality I've ever seen. Message to my son, you know, on this day, don't listen to that voice. What, that voice? What voice? That voice? What's he talking about? Charlie, what, you were like, what?
Yes. I was beginning to be in two minds, I have to say, because I'm a bit of a softie when it comes to things like this. I really am. And so when you...
Wouldn't you get your dad to say it to you, though?
And as the more that went on, I thought, oh no, you know, this, you know, it could have been a message about International Men's Day. It could have talked about mental health struggles that men face. You know, suicide is the #1 rate of men under 50.
Yes.
There are lots of societal issues that we don't talk about to support men, particularly young men.
Hasn't got the human touch, though, has he?
But a message to your son that then you broadcast to the nation
I want
and
Oliver,
beyond.
I want Oliver this morning to eat his cereal, so I'm going to go on Instagram. This is a message for Oliver. In this day and age, eating your cereal is such a difficult thing. I would love, as a bit of fun amongst all the misery this morning, great suggestion from Christian and the team. Let's have a bit of fun. I would like you to write an open letter, just very briefly, to Sir Keir Starmer. What would it say? It would start, "Dear Keir, we're screwed. Thanks, Tracy." I want to know what you think. A letter to Starmer, "Dear Keir." Is that not the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen in your life?
It would... Yes. I don't think it'll turn around the polls.
No,
of the
6:15. Let us know what you think of Keir Starmer's open letter to his 17-year-old son, and let's get to it. Hello to John in Liverpool. Morning, Jez. I'm grumpy, as always, but a bit happier by the time Friday comes. Have a good one. Hello to Edward. Back in the late 60s and early 70s, Jez, when I went to school, we had either bread and jam dunked in tea or a Weetabix mashed up in milk. Never had a breakfast club. Money was tight. No government help, but we were loved, we were clean and we were warm. That's what I'm saying. I don't care if it sounds old-fashioned. Mark's nodding. It's true, right? Well, different values, man. Mark in Croydon. Morning, Jez. When will people get these breakfast clubs aren't free? We, the taxpayer, are paying for them. Too many people having kids who, I'm afraid, he says, are not fit enough to look after themselves, let alone a kid. My girlfriend is a teacher, and a child in year 2 has had all his teeth removed through lack of cleaning. There are basic things. Sorry. Sharon Miller, what sort of morning are you having? Get that effing idiot Starmer off my TV. This is embarrassing me and ruining my Thursday morning. Great. Well done, Keir. Well, that didn't work. Let's get to the news, Charlie. We'd love to hear from you. They're your open letters to Sir Keir and what you think of breakfast clubs. 87222. Front page of The Telegraph today, Charlie. Nearly 500 migrants a day signing on to benefits. Channel migrants since Sir Keir became Prime Minister approaching 63,000. For this year only, fast approaching 39,000. This is a problem that won't go away. And with what we're expecting to come in next week's budget, the taxation rises across the board, working people, the very people that Starmer said he wanted to help, look at this and going, why do I bother working? Because people who break into this country illegally are signing on to a system that's supposed to help us. It's awful.
Yeah, it is, and it won't dissipate people's view that they've had for a long time, which is if you come into this country illegally, or if you're a migrant, or however you would come into the country, actually, you get first priorities. You get first dibs, you get put to the front of the queue when it comes to benefits, housing, days out, nice trips, Pilates by your local council, all the while hard-working people, working people who get up every day, people that are listening to this show now, are the ones that pay for all of those services. They pay the price, and their taxes are going to go up. There's no getting away from that. And I cannot work out why, having obviously said that the government wasn't going to increase national insurance contributions, VAT or income tax. They broke one of those manifesto pledges, obviously at the last budget, increasing VAT. So it's national insurance, forgive me. So that's businesses that are paying the brunt of that, coupled with business rates that they had an increase of, plus the living wage. They can't cope. She now marches up the hill to say that she was going to increase, effectively, income tax. Another manifesto pledge broken. Whoa! We all went a bit berserk over that, rightly so. Why should our income taxes or income be taxed even more to pay for this shower? But she marched us up that hill. And commentators like me and, who knows, presenters like yourself might have then been able to say, right, well, we know that at least that's coming. So she prepared the ground for that. To U-turn on that, and now leaving what is going to be a budget that taxes literally everybody. I wouldn't be surprised if fuel duty goes up. Taxes on gambling is going to go up. Alcohol and tobacco duty will go up. Taxes on those middle-income families who are just about managing because the economy isn't doing what the government also promised it was going to do, which is grow, in order to pay for public services. That isn't going to happen. So more taxes, more spending, more borrowing, and more hard-working people having to fill that gap at her own mismanagement of the economy.
I couldn't agree more. And you listen to certain people. I heard some stuff yesterday where we're demonising migrants. I hear it on a daily basis. I don't know why politicians can't wake up to the reality, which is that, and I love your phrase, working people, because that's what Starmer based his entire election manifesto and campaign on. We're going to get it back. We're going to level up this country. We're going to deal with working people. Think of the name Labour Party, labourers. They are in effect attacking everybody. And we've got to a point, have we not, where people are quite rightly going, in whatever part of their lives, right? Why am I doing this? Why am I this sucker to all of this stuff around me? And it wouldn't be as bad, I suspect, if we were giving and the British people weren't suffering as much. And I listen to those lefties who go, but we're not suffering like we are in Eritrea. But you lot get out of bed for 12 hours, work, barely make ends meet, and we'll give to these migrants. And I'm sick and tired of listening to people saying, I saw that Zach Polanski yesterday arguing with the excellent Layla Cunningham from Reform, who should be the London Mayor. She's here later. And he was going, there's absolutely no proof whatsoever that anybody who's ever come illegally on a boat has committed a crime. They just listed sort of like 100 examples of people being prosecuted, unvetted young men. Irrespective of the criminology and what can happen with people's safety, they're draining our country, and our country is in trouble. And they won't accept this, will they? And I don't understand why.
You're absolutely right.
I don't understand.
People waking up will ask themselves, what is the point? What is the point if you go to work when you know that your hard-working taxes are going to somebody that hasn't worked a day in their life, that's hopped across in a small boat, that is being put up in a hotel? What is the point in trying to give back to this country or society when you've got a group of people that don't even speak the language, or where there hasn't been the integration, or people wanting to set up Sharia law in their own parts of this country, whether it's in prisons, whether it's in any other part of the country? What is the point if you don't feel as though the government is on your side or going to help you when you need the helping hand, when it's prioritising people from, as you say, Eritrea? Now, I'm sure Eritrea might have huge problems. I don't know. But then I think most people wouldn't know. And then the question is, well, if you have that so much problem in your own country, you've got to France even before you've got on a dinghy to come here. You've travelled through plenty a safe country before you've got to the UK. Why aren't other people upholding their end of the deal to help there, when we're not helping people in this country? And we say all the time, when there are veterans, people who have served this country, put their lives on the line, who are sleeping rough, and there doesn't seem to be any help or at all for them. And I think that is an absolute disgrace.
Absolutely here. Love to know what you think of what Charlie said this morning. 500 migrants a day signing on to benefits, but you've gone mad, as you would do, to that open letter we just played. I will be playing it all morning, but we'll play it after the It's an open letter on International Men's Day that Keir Starmer sent to his son going, "Dear son, I can barely believe you're 17. And I'm shouting, "That's because you had him 17 years ago, you numpty." I said, well, Christian did, write an open letter to Sir Keir. Please start, "Dear Sir." There might be a prize for the best one. Simon in Durham. Starmer's letter to his son. "Sorry, son, I messed it all up. Sorry for being so bloody embarrassing and completely hopeless. Yours, two-tier Keir." Morning, JK. Morning, Charlie. This is from Margaret in Birmingham. More about Margaret. She says, "Dear Keir, do one." And he wanted his kids to be never in the limelight. What's change? Answers on a postcard. Morning, Nicola in Norfolk. That's cool down there. Up there? Down there. Morning, Jez. Starmer's message to his son is nothing more than vomit-inducing political spin. Watch the John Lewis Christmas advert instead, because that absolutely has the more genuine message for fathers and sons. Absolutely. Mr. B. Woodchurch. I don't know where Mr... Is that Mr. B in Woodchurch or Mr. B Woodchurch? I've no idea. Dear Keir... Pardon? Dear Keir, wish you weren't here. I mean, honestly, it's not having a very good thing. Now, the one thing about this is that people will come and they will respond, and we want both sides of the coin. I brought up that comment about breakfast clubs. This is from Billy in Caerphilly. Isn't that amazing? Never mind. Morning, Jez. I'm a single dad with 2 girls. I work full-time and I'm not able to claim anything to help financially, so I make sure that my girls have everything they need before I do anything or get anything for myself. My girls don't know that I haven't bought myself new clothes for over a year, and some evenings just have toast so that they have a decent meal. I wanted my girls, so I make the sacrifices to give them the life I want them to have. It is nobody else's responsibility. I am the parent. I salute you, Billy, from Caerphilly. That is exactly how we were brought up and the responsibility. But there will be people who disagree entirely with what I've said, including James, who says breakfast clubs are beneficial for working parents who have to work early. Lots of families now need 2 working parents as one salary doesn't cover the bills. Regarding kids not being potty trained, these will be kids who have undiagnosed additional needs, who are forced to start mainstream school, fail and endure the arduous process of getting the help their child needs to be educated. Please stop shaming parents who are given no options but to suffer the poor systems in place. Thoughts on that?
I can only push back on that a little bit. I've no doubt that there will be people and kids that are born that will have additional needs that aren't able at a particular age and time developed enough to be able to go to, to be potty trained or the rest of it. But that is a small proportion. And I do remember this from just being a former special advisor going on a visit to Bury, where there was a hugely deprived area. And there were lots of support workers that were based around the school and community sort of outside clubs that they were sort of running for these kids that were from this particularly deprived ward. It was a failure of the parents. It wasn't, I'm afraid, children just with additional educational needs.
There will be,
of course.
Absolutely.
But we cannot allow, and I think this will, it's a tough conversation to have, but the pushback has got to be that you can't just abscond from your responsibilities, or whatever the word is I'm trying to find.
I think the point is that, and I take the point that there will be kids who have problems and needs. I completely get that. But I'm sorry, to me we seem to be breeding a society whereby the state will wipe the backside of the parents who won't take responsibility. Dear Keir is going down a storm. Morning, Shane.
Morning, Jazz. Shane in Bournemouth again. You're going to make me boil over this morning, mate. What was that video of Starmer going on about his dad and his mum and his 17-year-old son? I mean, wasn't it 16 months ago where he was sitting there painting this romantic picture about how his dad was a tool maker and this, that, and now he's saying he never spoke to his dad. Mate, what is going on? What is actually going on? Oh, God, get him off. Just get him off the screen, Jazz.
some breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the Home of Common Sense.
Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan. Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning, welcome. It's Morning Glory on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense, and my microphone stopped working, so I can't hear anything in my ear. I can now. Welcome back. Charlie Rowley is with me. There's lots in the press, but as usual, with the people that listen to the show, two things have completely gone mad. One is the government has announced this morning there'll be 500 more breakfast clubs. It is a contentious issue, but I'm asking the question, how difficult is it to feed your kids a piece of toast or a bowl of cereal? Are we getting to a point where the state is supposed to wipe the backside of everybody? You made some really salient points about how kids are arriving at school, Charlie, without their teeth clean, not being potty trained. What about responsibility? Also, the letter from Kia. Stop asking me to play it again. I'm going to play it all morning. Kia yesterday on International Men's Day decided to create an open letter to his son, which basically sort of said, it's a very difficult time. I can't believe you're 17. I didn't have a relationship with my dad. I thought you did. And don't listen to that voice. We're all wondering what that voice is. Boz, good morning.
Morning breakfast team, Travelling Boz here. Seriously, that video is so depressing. I wasn't close to my dad. Well, he probably wasn't because his dad already thought, wow, this guy's off his rocker. And going to the Arsenal and sharing other things. Of course you would. If you're getting free tickets and free handouts, you will enjoy life. Very, very depressing, that video. Seriously, that shouldn't be played again. It should be banned.
No, I'm not banning it. I'm playing it again. Mark makes a great point to me this morning through the glass. He says, can you imagine what the letter back from his son would be? Dear Dad, can you do one? You're embarrassing the hell out of me again. Good morning to Sue in Essex. Looking forward to a great show, Jez. Reece Starmer, can you please pass the sick bag? Surely any father would do that in private and talk to his son. Dave's in Aberdeen, but it's cold up there. Why did I do the voice like that for Aberdeen? It's nice to hear Keir can afford a takeaway or go to the football. I can't, he says. He never talked to his dad. Yesterday, he told us they sat at the table talking about how skint they were. Very, very true. Hello to Mick in Wallington. Morning, Mick. Just which idiot is advising Keir Starmer to keep throwing his family under a bus? Very true. Clifton, Berkshire. With the state providing breakfast clubs and after-school clubs and schools being open from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock and the state expecting parents to dump their children off every day, I just maybe am old-fashioned to ask this question, says Cliff. How loved and wanted do kids feel nowadays? It's true, isn't it? I mean, listen, people, they weren't like this in my old life. I know people used to have kids to get benefits and to get a bigger house. How bad's that?
Well, and that's a brilliant, brilliant question, because there will be kids who feel that they're being dropped off very, very early, not being picked up until very, very late. But again, in response to one of those last texts, the number one admission to A&E for kids under the age of, I think it's 14 now, but or it might be even younger. I'll look at in the break. It's dental work. Kids are having their teeth pulled out because parents can't even train their kids or teach their kids or show their kids how to brush their teeth. It is a fundamental basic of just child development.
Completely.
Now, the idea that those parents are sending those kids to school, to these breakfast clubs, which, by the way, are probably not that healthy. So we talk about kids and obesity and all the rest of it, and, I know people can take Manjaro, obviously not at that age, but later in life. We're causing a problem. We're just sort of saying to ourselves, oh, yeah, it'll be fine. A breakfast club for a school, it'll be perfectly healthy. It won't be healthy. It'll be packed with sugar, which you could actually probably have the healthier meal and cheaper one at home provided by your parents.
Couldn't agree more. 6:30, just gone. Thursday morning. Hope you're okay. You're waking up to loads in the news on a nippy morning across the United Kingdom. You were taught where the nation comes to speak. Please let us know. We've talked breakfast clubs. We'll continue to talk about Keir Starmer's open letter to his son. We'd like to hear from you. What open letter would you send to Keir? Dear Keir, do please send them 87222. Front page of the Mail today. This won't shock anybody. Look at this. What percentage of Britons, think the economy is great under Labour? There it is, a big fat 0. And Charlie, when we talk personally about politicians, I get all of that. But the fact remains, migrants signing on to benefits, unemployment up, businesses closing by the bucket load because of national insurance hikes, people that are successful leaving this country. I genuinely believe that fiscally this is one of the most incompetent governments, and we had Liz Truss. I'm not advocating this, but one does wonder at what point the bond markets and the people who forced Liz Truss out are going to go, hold on a minute, we are beyond skint, we're still spending money on crazy things and borrowing money just to pay our interest.
And I think we'll see exactly what their response is in no less than 6 days' time. Probably the moment that the Chancellor gets up at that dispatch box and starts unravelling her plans after a year of telling us one thing, that she wasn't going to come back for more. Apparently the last budget was the only budget that she was going to break a manifesto commitment to not raise national insurance contributions. That money was going to fund things like our public services. That money was going to cover that terrible black hole that the Tories supposedly had left behind. And after 16 months, you can't blame the previous government.
No.
When you've had a whole manifesto, when you've been telling us for months that we're going to grow the economy, that's what's going to get us out of this, and it's going to be a Labour government that delivers that growth. We're going to feel prosperous, we're going to get ourselves out of that mess, that doom loop of tax and spend. Well, it's gone completely the other way. Taxes will go up. The debt that we have to pay will be even more expensive because there won't be that confidence in the markets. People will leave because she's going after the most wealthy, the job creators. Government doesn't create jobs, business creates jobs. Government doesn't create wealth, it's business and individuals and entrepreneurs, the hard-working, self-employed van drivers that you'll be listening this morning, all the way through to the tech AI super fans, that are off doing their own thing, the future. All of these people are the wealth creators and the generators that make this country what it is. It's not government, and I'm afraid that this government, this Labour government in particular, that has had, as I say, 16 months and has done nothing but talk this country down, that's choked off growth, where people are leaving, where taxes are up, that is making it worse for everybody. Just the symbol, all I can say is at the very start of this Labour government, taking away the winter fuel of pensioners. That's what they are after. They're after everybody else now. It's going to be an awful budget. We're all going to be paying the price. And I think she'll have to go. I really do.
Really, really agree with everything you said. We'd love to get your take on that. If I can just continue that theme, though, financially this government's on its backside. Same paper, page 6. Extraordinary scenes yesterday on a BBC show. I know I don't watch the BBC, but it was flashed up, I think, on social media. That slightly left-wing MP, Clive Lewis in Norfolk, who I've actually interviewed before, extraordinary human being. He actually has called on Andy Burnham, when he says, I'll give up my seat for Andy Burnham to get my seat to come to Parliament to replace Keir Starmer. MP offers his seat to oust his own leader. There is a brilliant piece in the Mail this morning from a friend of mine. I think Quentin Letts is the greatest writer in the world. Listen to this. Starmer is a walking yawn, a blob of pointless starch. Streeting greeted him with abattoir eyes. I mean, honestly, if you can read Quentin Letts in the Mail. But the truth is, they're already plotting the world's worst father. They're already plotting to get rid of him. His own MPs are threatening to give up seats. Just go, man, right?
Oh, totally. I think it's toast for Keir Starmer as well. As I say, on the back of the budget, we'll see what the markets do. And, Keir Starmer has been supporting Rachel throughout. They are in this together, as it were. You don't survive your Chancellor going, not in the end. Look what happened to Margaret Thatcher. In the end, that is the death knell, is it not? Totally, because of all those decisions that they've made. So whether it was at the very start, as I say, breaking that manifesto commitment to raise national insurance contributions, going after the pensioners' winter fuel, going after farmers, going after the inheritance tax, now having to say probably to fuel, and the fuel duty will go up, so that's hitting motorists the hardest, small businesses.
Hitting everybody.
Everybody.
And here's the thing I'd like to say as you're waking up. Hitting everybody, and yet we're more skint than we have ever been. More skint, not just because of their fiscal inability to make anything of a right decision, but because we are repeatedly, I'm going to say this all morning, giving money to people who don't deserve it, whether it's foreign nationals on benefits, whether it's those 500 migrants a day, whether it's criminals being released and being treated better than the victims who they've actually done crimes against. We've got it all wrong in this country, and we seem to be spending money on the wrong things. This is interesting. Rusty, we were talking earlier about breakfast clubs. Oh, 500 more breakfast clubs. God. I work in a school and I see parents dropping kids off at silly o'clock. I then proceed to sometimes watch as they stand at the gates or down the road chatting to each other for ages. I think you'll grasp what I'm getting at. I know you want to see the Keir Starmer open letter again. We will play it, I promise you, but we've asked for your letters. What would you say to Keir? Sean, dear Keith, what? Oh, yes. Dear Keith, you've lied endlessly to everyone. You've broken this country. You've employed idiots. You've reopened our borders. You've increased unemployment. You've ruined our reputation internationally. As the season of goodwill approaches, please do us one thing and call a general election so we can be rid of you and your lunatic cabinet. But you won't, because you're a complete moron. For those of you, honestly, it's absolutely unbelievable, the anger. Oh, hold on. Jez, this is from John Roberts. A message to my son. Don't get a job done, don't worry, don't forget your breakfast club. If all else fails, rock up to South England on a boat some mug will pay you for doing absolutely sod all. What an utter shambles the UK has been done. Jennifer, dear Keir, you've finally achieved something. You've just made your son lock himself in his bedroom and cry hysterically like a baby. In one sickening letter, you've ruined your son's credibility forever. He's never, ever going to live this down. 0 rating from this country. And 0 rating from your own family. Should we play it going to the break? We found this overnight, Christian did, right? On International Men's Day, our leader, with all the problems that he got, wants to send a message to his son. I mean, he could have popped up to his bedroom and said, mate, I know it's hard times, I love you, I enjoy going. This is what this idiot did. Have a watch.
A letter to my son. It feels like only yesterday that we brought you home. So nervous, but so excited for the journey ahead. Today, almost unbelievably, you're already 17. You're taller than I am. And you've grown into a confident, kind, wonderful young man. I remember when we watched Adolescence together. And as a dad, it was tough to see at times. If I had one message for you, and for every other child growing up, it would be this. Don't listen to that voice.
What, the voice that says the DNA results in, and unfortunately you are not the child's biological father. You got a feel for that kid, haven't you? Andy, good morning.
Dear Keir, this is an open letter to you from Andy from Hull. I drive a white van for around 55 to 60 hours a week. And you know, I struggle to pay my bills. And it's not because I live beyond my means, it's because the cost of living is so high. But I still get up every morning and I do what I have to do. Unlike some, I don't mind working for a living. In fact, it gives me self-esteem. Now, I watched that documentary called Adolescence that was on Netflix, but I've had it disconnected because I can't pay the bill. And it's so sad that you didn't have a relationship with your father. You couldn't speak to each other. So let me give you some fatherly advice. Know your limits, son. Quit when you're ahead. Go back to being a middle manager at Farm Foods or something. That's about your level. Know your limits. Okay, son, take care.
across the UK. On DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning, my friends. Welcome to Talk. It's where the nation comes to speak. It's the home of common sense. It's 6:45. You're very welcome. Please do get involved. Breakfast clubs, 500 more being rolled out. What do you make of that? Is it a good idea, or should people take responsibility for their own kids? I mean, I'm being honest. People don't like this. How difficult is it to feed your child a piece of toast or a bowl of cereal? Don't parents in the old days, they made sacrifices. Should we be as reliant on the state as we are? And that open letter to Kia is causing people to jump up and down. John Daniel Starmer has now put his son firmly in the public domain, so the son is now fair game for press scrutiny. He is a numpty of the First Order. Morning, Jez. Amanda from County Durham here. For all the trans movement claims to be progressive, doesn't saying like playing in mud is clearly a boy's activity actually reinforce the gender stereotypes we spent years trying to abolish? That doesn't sound very progressive to me, or am I missing the point? No, you're not, and it's actually the next thing I want to talk to Charlie Rowley about. Front page of the Times today. Oh, Jez, do try, for God's sake. Front page of the Times. I mean, look, the best way to describe this is hundreds of parents have accused the BBC, which is already on the back foot because Trump wants to take it for billions, of damaging their kids with what they call a constant drip feed of pro-trans bias. One example, really, was an episode of Doctors where a mother said she knew her watch Charlie Rowley's face. She knew her 6-year-old daughter was transgender because her best friend was a boy and she liked playing in mud. I really, you know, we've talked about free spaces and all that, and anybody that gets involved in the transgender debate, like J.K. Rowling, gets called the devil incarnate. What are we doing to kids, Charlie? Her best friend's a boy and she plays in the mud. Oh, she must be transgender. No, I agree with that text. I mean, it's almost laughable, but how much are we influencing our kids? What's going on in the schools, man? Well,
you're absolutely right. And look, you know, the BBC have got to do a huge audit of its programmes and what it's put out and what has obviously fallen below the standards that are expected, whether it's about Gaza, whether it's about Donald Trump, obviously, doctoring those videos, and particularly whether it's about trans and individuals and the influence that it has. The reason why the BBC, I think, still does have a place in the media sphere is because it was set up to inform, educate and entertain. And it's that educational aspect.
Not so whether push ideology, though.
But not ideology, exactly. It's educate, not indoctrinate. And I think there are clearly now far too many examples that parents are clearly worried about where there's an indoctrination to what was seen a few years ago, certainly after the last decade, but of this woke nonsense of you can be a cat. You can identify as a cat in the classroom. You could be a furry.
Do you not know my story? And I took my daughter, I won't name her, Ava, to Brighton University. She said, can you just do me a favour? Could you not say anything? Because there are quite a lot of progressive people here. So I went duty-bound as the father, and I sat there, and I swear to you, we're waiting outside a room to be talked to about the course. Mark will love this. And two of these aforementioned furries came past with real tails and whiskers and ears, and I must have gone, oh, she went, don't say a word. And then I literally thought, I've got to go to the loo. Old age, and I went to the loo, and it didn't say men or women, it said anyone welcome, and I literally went to the car park and had a pee behind my car. A bit like Peter Mandelson. Honestly, I swear to God, anyone welcome. But there were furries, people. I mean, if my child came to me and said I was a furry, I'd put a bowl of food and leave them in the garden. The whole thing is beyond me. What happened? What has happened? What the hell is a furry?
Yes, well, someone that I mean, actually, I don't know enough about it. I've looked into this, but but the idea that kids can turn up to school identifying as cats.
Without their teeth being brushed.
Yes.
Or their whiskers brushed.
But the idea, going back to the breakfast, if there are some parents who are unable, for whatever reason, choose not to, or can't be bothered, or just simply can't, whether it's afford breakfast, or if that's the claim. But there will be some parents that openly encourage and allow their kids to maybe identify as whatever they want to and think that's okay. And what those kinds of parents will do, they'll turn up to the school and say, you've got a duty of care, school. You need to look after my child. If my child wants to turn up in a dress or wearing a bunny ears or whatever it is.
A dress or bunny ears?
Yeah, or maybe both.
Yes, probably.
But that's...
On a Friday.
On a Friday.
Yeah.
But the parents will go berserk because they'll say to the school, you're discriminating against my child. How dare you? You as a society have got to accept that my child identifies as a cat. And if you dare bring in, cat treats for your school chum that you're sitting next to, you'll be expelled. And the onus will be, and you'll get a letter as they're trying to put, and that is where the woke nonsense has gone completely berserk. But you've got to look at where does all that stem from? Is it social media? I think it probably is. But when it comes to the BBC, the British Broadcasting Corporation, of which the licence fee, our taxpayers' money, is essentially funding this narrative, this ideology of you can be anything and be as creative. I'm all for creativity. I'm all for kids to be able to play in safe spaces and experiment with things. But, you can wear a dress if you want. You can be G.I. Joe the next. But that doesn't mean, if you're thinking of just walking around, prancing around in your mother's shoes for an afternoon because it's quite fun and, your parents are laughing at you, maybe I'm revealing a bit too much about my own childhood.
Chris and I are just looking at each other. When do you think he started doing that?
But, kids can do that. Kids can have fun. But what you don't do as a parent, and what you don't certainly do as the BBC, is then all of a sudden overanalyze and say, your child, they must be trans, or they must be, part of the LGBTQIA, HMRC, DFS 118, 24/7 Community Plus. You can't have that. And schools need to push back. Schools need to be tough. And that is why, when it comes to trans in general, I don't know why it's taken so long for the EHCR, the European Equalities Commission, to say to public spaces that single-sex spaces are defined by sex. It's not gender, it's not ideology. There are men's toilets, there are women's toilets. Of course, if you feel that you've been born into the wrong body and you're old enough as an adult to make those choices and want to change your sex or your gender, crack on. And I will support you in that because I want you to live as happy and full of life as everybody else and make a contribution. But the facts are, and the reality is, you can't just access women's single-sex spaces for women. You can't just compete in women's sports because you feel that there are just some things you won't be able to.
I could not agree more. Mary has just sent a great letter. Dear Keir, could you try and please identify as a politician, which might be a good thing. Listen, excellent from Charlie Rowley. 87222, your open letters to Sir Keir Starmer. Next, Jamie, this is his response to Keir's message to his 17-year-old on International Father's Day. Go.
Dear Keir, I do hope this letter finds you well after International Man's Day. I know the cost of living crisis is hitting us all hard, and you may not be able to afford the heating. Please put another free suit on from Lord Alley, just so you can keep warm this winter. Let your wife put another free dress on from Lord Alley, just so she can keep warm this winter. And I hope you're reading this letter with your free glasses from Lord Alley. Keir, please have a wonderful Christmas. Just because the rest of us are miserable doesn't mean you need to be too.
some breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the Home of Common Sense.
Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan. Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We're on My Morning Glory, JK with Charlie Rowley. Not long left, but in that message from Starmer, there was a certain piece of music, OK? So I think we've got that music. So your letters, dear Keir, we're going to play it underneath. We'll start with Lee in Gloucester. Dear Keir, I'm doing the job as Prime Minister and... Oh, this is from Keir to his son. I'm doing the job as Prime Minister and working really hard for all of us, for working people. But now the good news. I will have more free time to spend with you after Christmas, because they're going to fire me, because I'm crap. Dear Keir, stop listening to those voices in your head. Regards, the electorate. JB in Aberdeenshire. Morning, guys. Dear Keir, get out of here. He even looks awkward sending that message to his son. The man has bugger all charisma, personality whatsoever, says Maggie in London. Oh dear. Yes, good. Keep them coming, please. Dear Keir, if you haven't seen the video, we'll play it after 7. He decided on International Men's Day to send a video to his son saying, "You're 17. I love you. Stop listening to that voice." What voice is it? Certainly not his. Extraordinary. Very quickly, Charlie, you've been amazing. We've talked breakfast clubs, 500 more, yawn. We've talked migrants, 500 a day signing up for benefits. We've talked about how the BBC is being accused of damaging kids with their pro-transgender bias. Very quickly, Ed Millipede. His energy plan means you'll be paying higher bills way into the 2030s. A report says that Ed's clean power plan will add more than £150, Charlie Rowley, to your annual electricity bill.
And, you know, another promise made, another promise broken under this government. They said they were going to bring energy bills down by £300. Now they're going to go up. You know, what more can the government do wrong? I mean, I'm sure there's a lot more. But, you know, every twist and every turn, everything this government says it's going to do, it hasn't done. It has to show people now. It can't just tell us what it's going to do. It can't just tell us it's going to get tough on migrants. It's not going to tell us it's going to bring down those small boat crossings. It's not going to tell us that their energy bills are going to go down when they're going up. They can't keep gaslighting the British public for this amount of time, otherwise they will be, and I think they will be, certainly Sir Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves, they'll be out before the next election.
Somebody said to me yesterday something I thought was so interesting. It took the Tories 14 years for the British public to realise that they were liars. They've managed to do that, this Labour government, in 14 months. There's not a day where you think, and I want to think this, but I don't, I believe anything you say, anything's going to get better. There isn't going to be something coming up that proves that you are both incompetent, lacking in any credibility, you're not proud of this country, and you will put every single person, it seems, before the British people.
You're absolutely right. But what is more terrifying, actually, to be fair, to Keir Starmer, nothing I thought I'd ever say this early on, but anyway, in the absence of political leadership, which he has none. He's not a politician. He doesn't know what he stands for. He doesn't know what he's doing. If he were to go, people on the left look for someone that might have ideology, even though it's even worse, and that would be Ed Miliband. They're talking about him being the next leader.
Unbelievable. We love having you here. Will you come back?
Of course.
We love him. Charlie Rowley, former special advisor and one day an MP in his own right. I've absolutely no idea. We're approaching 7 o'clock. We're live across the UK. So much to talk about. We'll kick off the next hour with James Price. We'll ask him about breakfast clubs and Dear Keir. News at 7. Next on Talk.
across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to Thursday, the 20th of November. This is where the nation comes to talk. If you want to be part of the debate today, 87222. Start your message with the word talk, and you can call as well. For those voice notes, 0344 419 1000. And before we move on, let me just also say, download the new Talk app if you want to take us with you to work, on the train, wherever you are. The new Talk app, not the talkTV one. Do it by December the 1st. Download it. Really simple. You can take us with you 24 hours a day, you lucky people. What are you waking up to today? Well, headlines like this: nearly 500 migrants are signing up daily for benefits as the going gets tougher by the day for Brits, hard-working Brits who are going to be taxed again next week from racial thieves. Migrants apparently getting better deals than anybody that seems to be working. 500 signing up a day. Hundreds of parents complained to the BBC about their damaging transgender bias and how programmes like... Listen to this. This is the example. The BBC. Doctors. A mother said on Doctors, "I know my 6-year-old daughter's transgender because her best friend's a boy and she likes playing in the mud." Which begs the question, what are schools doing to our children? Really, really important. You might have heard before the break, Ed Miliband's energy plan. Yeah, will be whatever free by whenever it is. Not that we'll get there, but at the same time, our bills, which were going to go lower, are in fact going to go higher. The ones that you've reacted to this morning, right? I know we might be at war with Russia very soon. We'll talk about that. But the most important thing, two things. The government has announced the rollout of 500 more breakfast clubs. Maybe this is a contentious view. I've said many times on this show, I'm very happy to be part of a society that pays for people who can't help themselves. But have we not got to a point where people have to take responsibility for their own children? We hear hordes of stories of kids arriving at school unable to clean their teeth, dress properly, not even potty trained by 5 or 6. How much does it cost? How difficult is it to give your kid a piece of toast in the morning? We were brought up with parents who made sacrifices. Does that make me old-fashioned to say that? Love your views on that. 87222. Start your message with the word talk. But because you're just a fabulous audience, despite all that's going on in the world, including Russian warships, the thing that's got you most this morning is our devoted leader, Sir Keir Starmer, who overnight, to celebrate... Try and keep it together, Jess. To try and celebrate International Father's Day, could have popped upstairs at Downing Street and said to his son, "I love you, boy. Listen, there's a lot to learn." Like I do with mine. Doesn't listen, but you try. No. Keir Starmer thought it would be a good idea to throw his son under the bus and put on social media this following vomit-inducing video. I just watch this and just take it with you, because this is what today is about. Oh, my God.
A letter to my son. It feels like only yesterday that we brought you home. So nervous, but so excited for the journey ahead. Today, almost unbelievably, you're already 17. You're taller than I am. And you've grown into a confident, kind, wonderful young man. And I'm so proud of you. Now, I didn't have a very close relationship with my own dad. When my mum, your grandma Jo, was sick, and she was very sick, he cared for her devotedly, but he and I never really spoke. We never really got to know each other. And I was determined that my relationship with you was going to be different. And spending time with you is one of the highlights of my week, whether it's a takeaway or going to watch the Arsenal. I do know it's not easy growing up in this day and age. I know there are pressures on young men that are difficult to talk about, and questions that frankly are difficult to answer. Questions about mental health, masculinity, social media. I remember when we watched Adolescence together, and as a dad, it was tough to see at times. If I had one message for you, and for every other child growing up, it would be this: don't listen to that voice.
What voice? Honestly, this is genuinely our Prime Minister. I've got to feel sorry for his son. One thing, Christian's right. If you want a close relationship with your son, Sir Keir, why don't you resign, put us all out of our bloody misery, OK, and then you can go to the Arsenal or have a takeaway, which seems to be his entire mantra as a father, a lot more. Does anybody out there agree with me, right? Is that not the most emotionless, cold, just appalling example? I mean, that's a father? That's a fun. I like the bit. It seems like yesterday we brought you home. I bet the son's thinking, I wish it was. I could have been adopted, then I could go. Anyway, we've taken the music from that vomit-inducing video and we've asked you to write your open letters to Sir Keir. Say whatever you want. 87222. Cue the music. This is from Mel. Dear Keir, call a general election. Up yours. Brilliant. This is from Jack in Gravesend. It's brilliant. Now, I think Jack might think he's a poet, right? Dear Keir, I know it's tough, and right you may be, for you brought it on yourself, you silly Billy. As night becomes day, we wish you would walk away. Listen to that voice. Which one? Which one? Nige, take the reins, please, for I have lost the plot, the party, and sadly the trust of the entire country. Jack, brilliant. I just think it sort of you're not going to be the poet laureate, son, are you? I mean, it started off great, but it didn't rhyme in the end. But brilliant. That about sums it up. This is Chris Maitland. Dear Nation. No, I'm not doing that. I can't. This is brilliant as well. From Kevin in Barnstable. Dear Keir, your video doesn't wash. It's just another pathetic, ill-advised ploy to try to make the public think that you're one of the people. You are anything but. You're a useless and talentless fool. Yours, Kevin Barnstable. Honestly, cut the music. Is it me? I mean, I've watched him politically be humiliated by Trump. I've watched him be humiliated by his own MPs. I've seen a man who I don't believe has, and I'm not even making it personal here, doesn't have the DNA, the political nous to go, yeah, this is what I'm concerned about. This is what motivates me. Somebody sat down and gone, you could look really human, right, if you do a video to your son. How does his son feel today? I mean, you wouldn't want to go to school, would you? That's your dad. That's on social media. Honestly, it must be hard enough having Jeremy Kyle as your dad. Ask my kids. But Sir Keir Starmer, dear son, thanks for... Oh, my God, dear Lord. 0344 499 1000. Dave, what did you make of it?
Morning, JK. Well, do you know what, mate? About Keir Starmer not ever talking to his dad, I think a week ago he said he used to sit round the kitchen table as a little boy while his dad terrified the life out of him, discussing that they didn't have any money. Now, this week, no, he never spoke to his dad. So which is it, Keir? Were you part of the family finance discussions, or did your dad not talk to you?
I don't tend to listen to that voice in my head. What voice are we talking about? It's 7:10. Welcome to Morning Glory. Your involvement is we're very happy to hear. 87222, start your message with the word talk. We say a very good morning to former government special advisor, not Chinese spy. We verified that yesterday on the papers. James Price, good morning.
Ni hao, I mean hello, my friend.
Very good. Dear Keir, did you see that? Look at his face. Look. What would you say if you, JP, had to write a letter starting Dear Keir?
I don't think it would be allowed to be read out at this time of the morning. I've got to say, that last caller, by the way, was so good. What was the line? It was, Keir, were you part of the family financial discussions, or did Dad never talk to you? I couldn't come up with a line as good as that. I thought that was an excellent contribution.
How many times did he say toolmaker last year in videos, repeatedly, and how close he was to his father? But beyond that, with everything we've got going, even that, Jay, right? And you'll be a dad at some point, and everybody knows I've got more kids than Bojo, right? Well, any help with that, let me know. But the point is this. Even that is emotionless. There's nothing there, is there? As a man, even.
We've said this before, I think, a lot about Keir Starmer, is that he manages to talk about things, even things he does care about, and we know that he cares about, like football, for example, as if he is an emotionless and talentless politician, right? He genuinely cares about Arsenal so much that he's taken some political hits for sitting in a bit of it and having a load of taxpayer money have to protect him. But he genuinely does seem to care about it based on his experiences and the times that he keeps going there, and yet talks about it like he doesn't care. So I'm not sure which one of his advisors thought that he would be able to show any more emotion for one of his children. And even then, though, Jezza, I was trying, watching it, to give him the benefit of the doubt. There are a lot of people out there who are not good communicators. Most of them ideally wouldn't become politicians or prime minister, but it is difficult and awkward to talk about things like masculinity and that kind of stuff. And so I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt.
In private.
Then he mentioned that show Adolescence, right, which is a load of complete and utter toilet about a young white boy who goes around stabbing and killing people, which just doesn't happen. It's created a total and utter moral panic. And the idea that Starmer is being led by a fictional Netflix drama, the case of which it was loosely based on, they changed so many factual elements about the main antagonist that renders it demographically useless, to sit there and go, right, son, you're going to have to watch this program with me so that I can use it in a promotional video later. That really lost it for me, and it stopped being about family and started being a cheap political stunt.
Before we move on, Dave says, hi, Jez, surely Starmer did speak to his dad when he bought his parents the donkey field? It's a really interesting point, isn't it? Listen, Starmer, emotionless. Let's talk about something that perhaps you haven't got on your list, but has just run for our audience this morning, because that's what this show's about. The government this morning announcing the rollout of 500 more breakfast clubs. Now, this is a massive subject for me. I totally get, a bit like I do with benefits, that there are people who are really struggling. But I think we're at a dangerous moment. We've got a government in the budget who might well say we're going to end the cap of two-child benefits, so keep procreating, right? I know loads of people who are desperate to have kids, by the way, and who work very hard before people throw that at me. And I also know that people will say, you've got 6 kids, yeah, I pay and I work for every single one of my damn kids. I would like to ask this. All the breakfast clubs, how difficult is it to feed your child a piece of toast? Is not being a parent about making sacrifices and making choices, right? When we were growing up, I've said it already, the old girl said we had 3 outfits, nothing more, but we were always in a clean one. One was in the washing machine, one was in the ironing basket, and one was on. They didn't or couldn't afford a snazzy house, but the walls were painted clean. There was food on the table, and I have heard stories throughout the morning of parents who went short of for themselves to make sure their kids are all right. How can we continue to be a society that says, just go and procreate, and you might not be able to teach them how to be potty trained, or you might not teach them how to clean their teeth, but just send them to school. We'll give them breakfast and we'll do that for you. And for the first time in my life, I'm quite sympathetic towards teachers, but I do think we as a society need to take more responsibility, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely right. It is a tricky one because it's obviously not the fault of these children, and I think that we need to get better as a society at making a very strict delineation between children and adults in general. At just the time that we're lowering, or Labour is trying to lower the voting age from 18 to 16, the responsibility to do, or the license to do lots of other things is going up from 16 to 18. And I won't go into too much detail, but that when the Welsh lowered voting down to 16, they raised the age at which you could get certain special parts of your body pierced up to 18. So we've got all these mad things. We've got people in schools saying, oh, well, I'm this different gender, so I should be able to take these irreversible medicines and poisons, or I should be able to chop bits of myself off and all the rest of it. And that this extends all the way down. And we need to get a serious conversation about when someone is a child and when they're an adult, when they're allowed to do things and when they're not. I mean, it's not fundamentally the fault of the children if they're going hungry. And yet at the same time, it can't be the responsibility of the state and of all taxpayers to just endlessly fork out money for these sorts of social issues.
I think it's like the discussion we had yesterday, mate, on benefits. Whenever you have that discussion about benefits, the genuinely mentally ill and disabled jump up and down, and I was at pains yesterday to make that point. And it's the same with this, right? Take responsibility. Listen to this. So Breakfast Club, says Mark from Sheffield, another way for parents to fob their kids off to hard-working teachers and class assistants. The woman saying stop shaming parents and kids go to school not even being able to use the toilet as the kids are behind because there's not enough help. Wow, just wow. Maybe if the parents parented and didn't sit on their fat backsides or fob their kids off to breakfast clubs, maybe took responsibility, maybe did what kids were supposed to do, which is be taught by their parents, then the world would be a better place. I know it's a difficult subject, but I do think we're under increasing pressure as a society because we're out of money. You know, that people will look and go, hold on a second, right? We're skint. We're saying to working people, you carry on. I've had message after message, Jay. I'm out already. I'm going to do 12 hours. I'm paying my tax. I've got migrants signing on, sitting on their backsides, and parents procreating. They're now going to get more and more money. It's a fact. And I've seen it in my other life. And there has to be a point where you say, come on. Have responsibility. And when people like Reeves last week, well, we don't want kids born into poverty. No, we don't. We'll stop having them then because it is a poverty situation. And I was always brought up that you have to look after your own. What's wrong with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And yet at the same time, both in Britain and across I was going to say the Western world, but actually it's the whole world with the exception of sub-Saharan Africa, birth rates are cratering everywhere. And so our old model of long-time pensions and our model of importing cheap, unskilled labour from the third world to fill gaps and all these things isn't going to work for much longer. And in lots of cases, it's the people who you would, if you were looking at it from an economic perspective, most want to have children, those who are kind of economically really productive, able to spend time and pass on good lessons and all these sorts of things, are not having them. And yet, as you say, subsidising others to have them. So lots of recent arrivals who still carry high birth rates with them for a generation or so. So this whole problem goes back to economics, in large part at least. When you don't have any growth, you get these kind of societal issues. If we were very rich as a country and the taxes were lower, economic growth was going, there'd be plenty of money for most people to be able to afford their children or as many children as they want and to have houses big enough for all of them when you don't have things like stamp duty preventing you from getting a bigger house. So lots of this stuff can get back to economics. That would solve lots of these problems with some damn growth going. And then for those real problem cases where it doesn't, you've got more resources, you've got more time, you've got more attention to be able to focus and work out why it is that some of these kids aren't being potty trained, aren't able to brush their own teeth. You've got the resources to deal with that as well. But Labour don't understand this. We're going to have the most awful and damaging budget maybe of all time coming up next week. That's going to hurt families, going to lead more rich people to leaving the country, by the way, and just other people who want to get on. And that means higher taxes for the rest of us, which means less economic growth again. And it's a doom spiral that we're not going to escape from under this Labour government, I'm afraid.
Welcome to Thursday, people.
Yeah, have a great rest of the day.
Well done. Well, listen to what you say. It's true front of the mail today. What percentage of Britons think the economy is a great state under Labour? Absolutely. Look at that. Zero. A big fat zero. Very quickly, that figure I talked about in the newspaper today, front page of the Telegraph, 500 migrants a day signing up for benefits. We haven't got a lot of time, but it's the same as yesterday. We're getting to a point where hardworking people are saying, what is the point? What's the point of going to work and living within the confines of the law and just breaking even and not having a holiday or going out for a meal when we've got seemingly a government that prefers to look after people who don't ever pay in? And I know I've gone about it every day. I think it's appalling. I really think it's appalling.
Look, here's a bit of hope after I've thoroughly depressed everybody about the lack of economic. Here's a bit of hope for you. Almost all of Britain's problems are self-inflicted. They're self-made. They're the result of bad policy decisions, bad economic decisions, bad governance since I'd say about 1997, in fact. Maybe I go back to 1990 for the Blessed Margaret leaving. But what that means is that we have it within our power to fix most of these problems. We know how economic growth works. It's backing businesses, whether they're big or ideally smaller ones. It's getting proper growth going with more trade, with more investment, more development, more science and tech, things like that. We know how to make our streets safer. It's locking up the criminals. It's not that complicated. And we know that if you stop giving benefits to shirkers and to foreigners, you've got a lot more money to play with. This stuff ain't rocket science, and if we get a half-decent government in next time, then I think we've just about got enough time to undo all of these problems and get back to that green and pleasant land we all so love.
Just very quickly on Starmer, Clive Lewis, that odious left-winger from Norwich, that Labour MP who I've interviewed before, he said yesterday, I will give my seat up so that Andy Burnham can get into the Commons and replace Sir Keir Starmer. Thoughts on that quickly, JP?
I mean, I thought Andy Burnham was a vaguely sensible person, but if Clive Lewis is backing him, a man who's, as you say, incredibly left-wing, incredibly rude, got in trouble for calling someone a female dog by a shorter name on stage once, despite trying to be a good ally feminist guy. If he's backing someone, then I'm very scared about them getting into power.
Absolutely. And finally, the man who could take Piers, that's weird, isn't it, Piers? The man who could take Keir's crown, weirdly, strangely, oh my God, Ed Miliband, if there was a leadership election. We find out today, well, we don't find out today, we've known this for a while, his energy plan means you will be paying higher bills way into the 2030s. He might achieve his clean power at some point, we're not sure when. 150 quid more each on our annual electricity bills. The truth of the matter is the ideology of net zero is going to screw us again in the pocket, isn't it?
I mean, it already is. If everybody who's listening to this in bed and shivering and not wanting to get out from under the covers, that's Ed Miliband's fault that your energy bills are so high. For all those people who've already got up scraping ice off windshields or putting on extra layers or stamping out the frost and all the rest of it, it's Ed Miliband's fault. And if you're looking that your bills are tight at the end of every month, that's Ed Miliband's fault. The man is a total and utter lunatic fanatic. And if he ends up being Prime Minister, God help us all.
We're off to Romania, you and I. Thanks so much, JP. Great to see you. Love to the wife. 23 minutes past 7. That was James Price. Loads of you responding to that open letter that Starmer sent to his son saying, Happy International Men's Day. We know it's difficult, but we do have a takeaway and go to the Arsenal occasionally, but don't listen to that voice. Which voice? What voice? The whole thing confuses me. Dear Jez, why, oh why, in the name of God, says Russ Coleman, would he expose his boy to this? Kids at schools aren't that much different to my day, and this poor little kid is in for a tumultuous time. Is Keith Harmer deflecting the abuse he is getting onto his son? He's used him as a party political broadcast. He is absolutely moronic. Couldn't agree more. Eros, I am... He said, I used to be able, Jez, to afford to go to a football match and buy a takeaway. I literally can't now. Listening to that man. Ooh. Chris Maitland, morning, Jez. Stop playing that open letter Starmer rubbish. My breakfast has just revisited me. Nice. Anthony, good morning. Dear Dad, this is from The Sun. This is quite a good angle. Stop embarrassing me. Thank you. Stop embarrassing me in front of the nation. Everyone is telling me they hate you. So why don't you just do one and bugger off? Regards, your son. Nice. Morning, Chris. Starmer's film on his letter was so embarrassing. If I did that to my sons, they would go mad. Surely that would be improv. This is brilliant. From the Office of the Prime Minister, ladies and gentlemen, dear electorate, this is your benevolent Prime Minister addressing you from my taxpayer-funded property with its taxpayer-funded central heating to remind you that your bills must sadly increase because my government of the people needs to continue paying benefits to people who have no bloody right to be here. But I understand, I know, we all want to live in a country with low taxes and a bright future. So, if you find one, please let me know and we can all move there together. In the meantime, I must dash. I've got a new free suit fitting this morning in London. Happy Winterval, keep warm, Sir Keir Starmer. Lovely. Bridget, what do you make of Starmer's open letter?
Dear Keir, first you ruined the pensioners' lives. Then you ruined farmers' lives. Then you went on to ruin employers and small businesses. You've ruined the economy and basically you've ruined the country. I don't wish you well. I wish you to lose your job as soon as possible and be thrown on the scrap heap. And please do one from a mum of 2 grown-up sons that I would never ever embarrass like you've just done to yours.
some breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the Home of Common Sense.
Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan. Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning to you. Welcome to Morning Glory, approaching 7:30. It's cold out there. I hope your morning's going well. Listen, this is where the nation comes to talk and have its opinion on the day's news. Loads going on in a minute. We'll talk about how a Russian spy ship on the edge of the UK waters using lasers at our pilots could cause untold drama. But you've just done what you always do so brilliantly. You've picked up on two main stories today. One is the Breakfast Club idea. Today the government announcing 500 more breakfast clubs. How difficult, I'm asking, is it to feed your kids? Maybe I'm wrong. Listen to this man. I mean, Richard in Lancashire. This morning, Jez, I woke up at 5:30 a.m, got myself ready, ironed my 3 kids' school uniform, made their school packed lunches, got them up, showered and ready, and now I'm making their breakfast ready to take all 3 of them to school. Then I'm off to work. To me, that's the best start of any morning. I love it. It's my responsibility. I had them. I think that... Listen to this, Mark. I'm at an age like you, Jez. My mum was a single parent. Me and my sister never went without food, certainly not breakfast. As for kids having it so hard these days, one of my mum's favourite sayings was go outside and play with the traffic. My God, I wish I had the stuff that the kids have nowadays. I get the people who are saying we can't afford it, right? But I'm afraid we've got to a point in this country, surely, where we're saying you can't rely on the state, this untold cap to just, you know, just have children. There comes a point with skin. We can't pay any more to people who aren't helping themselves, be that migrants or people who want to have 6 kids. Yeah, I have, and I pay for them every single day. The other thing you've gone for, brilliant, is the Keir Starmer open letter to his son. And this is by far and away the best one so far. Cue the music. This is from Keir Starmer's son. Dear Dad, you're a bum, you're a punk, you're an old and junk. You're scumbag, you're maggot, you're cheap, lousy. Happy Christmas, you arse. I pray it's our last. You've ruined my life with your letter. Your ex-son. Unbelievable. You are the most creative lot I've ever in my life. It's brilliant. This letter from Keir Starmer we will play in a bit. Oh, Oliver is watching, shouting, my dad. My Oliver, my Oliver. Yes, well, I'll send you an open letter, Oliver. I know school can be hard. Oh, do me one. Morning, Ols. So, listen, more about the Starmer open letter coming up. But let's talk seriously for a minute. Front page of The Sun, really important story. Jack Elsom has this exclusive. He'll be on the show after 8 o'clock. Ship hits the fan. Fantastic. We say good morning to Alan Mendoza, Chief Advisor on Global Affairs for Reform UK. How are you?
Hello, yes, good, Jeremy. How are you?
Very good, my friend. Slightly have you seen that Keir Starmer open letter to his son?
Yes. You know what? I'm not so bothered about it. I'm delighted he wants to, you know, talk to his son in front of the nation. That's fantastic. I don't know whether his son would welcome it or not, but you know, I've got nothing against him having a crack at that.
You're getting good at this political game. I don't have to play that game. I think he sounds about as emotionless as he does when trying to deal with the British public and international affairs, Alan, but bless you. This story is extraordinary, and I wanted you to put it into layman's terms for us. A Russian spy ship on the edge of UK waters was accused last night of using lasers to shine in the eyes of RAF pilots. This resulted in the Defence Secretary John Healey coming out and saying, we are ready, which everybody knows we're not. What is this all about in layman's terms, my friend?
Well, in layman's terms, what it means is that for a number of years now, the Russians have been engaged in provocations, as it were, against the UK. And when I say provocations, I mean they have buzzed us with their airplanes, they have attempted to enter our naval exclusion zones and into our territorial waters and, kind of get us to track them. They've been tracking submarines. And in this case, what they're trying to do is map the network of undersea sea cables that actually connect this country through technology with others. So basically, what they're doing is mapping those. There's a suspicion they might be potentially weaponizing those by either getting to know their locations so that they've rigged them already with booby traps, or that they would be able to do so in the event of a conflict. And of course, it's a major security threat because that's how our, information flows happen. All the data on the internet goes under the sea. And if you cut that, if you destroy that, suddenly we are cut off. And so it's quite a serious event.
Alan, yesterday we talked with Sir Ian Duncan-Smith about this concern amongst many people that the Chinese are, for example, trying to infiltrate Parliament, the spies, the case that was thrown out, financial incentives. And Sir Ian was saying, look, this government, and in fact past governments, need to wake up to the real fear that China, that axis with Iran and Russia, is a viable thing. And this seems to be another example. If I step back from this, I'm thinking, so we're allowing, or not, I don't know whether we're able to do anything. It sounds very, very dodgy, and it makes you sit here and think, well, surely we need to have that ship escorted, or we'll take it. Is it Vladimir Putin flexing his muscles? It must be. It will send the people who believe that Vladimir Putin's got more desires on other parts of Europe than just Ukraine into meltdown. Others will say this has been going on for years. Do you see it as an escalation, or do you just see it as Putin doing what I guess he does so often, which is play games with the heads of, well, most countries, I would imagine it would be fair to say?
Well, it's not an escalation per se, Jeremy. As you pointed out, he's done it for years. So the reality is that his aggression, his desire to threaten us has been there for a long, long time. It's just that only latterly have some people, at least, woken up to it. It is, though, of course, a source of danger. If the Russians have mapped out completely the undersea cable network, that is not good news from the perspective of our information technology, national security.
What can we do? How can we respond to it, Alan?
So what the defense, I think what the defense secretary was doing, quite rightly, was, if you like, firing a shot over the Russian bows to say, if you're going to come anywhere 1 centimetre into our territorial waters, we will respond. And I suspect there'll be a very serious response. So right now, all you can do is monitor. The Navy does have some counter techniques it can use. There are a couple of ships we have that are able to engage in certain capabilities, shall we say, to disrupt what the Russians are doing. But the real fear is they've already got a lot of data, having done this over years. So right now, all we can do is monitor. We can certainly, and we're well within our rights, and he was right to warn the Russians that if you do stray into territory, we will respond. And that, so far, are the kinds of things Russians do listen to. The fear is, of course, they're going to keep on trying to test us. They scrambled planes into NATO space fairly recently, and we've had mysterious drones turning up at all sorts of places in various NATO countries. The Russians are testing us. It's a provocation. It's designed to play with our minds, but it is also, I'm afraid, quite a serious threat because it is about understanding the intelligence to see how we respond to threats.
Just one final question. You're the Executive Director of the Henry Jackson Society. I wanted to say that as by way of an introduction. You've defected to reform. You're very well versed in these things. I read on a daily basis those who say it's an agreement, it's something I agree with. It seems that successive governments for years, believing the Cold War is over, have cut back our military to almost embarrassing. I think somebody told me the other day there are less people in our Army, Navy and Air Force than there are have come into our country illegally in the last 2 years, which is an extraordinary statistic. But I read overnight we're ready. Are we as a fighting force? Are we not way behind the 8 ball in real terms? What is the truth?
Well, we're not ready for a full-scale war, absolutely not. We are some way off that, and the reality is we need to invest seriously in defence capabilities that are atrophied, frankly, since the 1990s. And that isn't a political comment. The successive governments have done that, basically. And what we're quite aware of is that the nature of the threats have proliferated in recent years. The type of threats have also changed, and as a result, the British Army does need to be brought up to speed pretty quickly. we need to be spending at least 3% on defence much quicker than the government wants to get us there. They've woken up at least to the idea we've got to get there, but we've got to go there quickly and then probably to 3.5% even quicker thereafter. So if we don't get there, Jeremy, we are leaving the nation's defences underutilised because we do not have the capabilities right now to deal with all the threats that are out there, and that is not a good position for a country to be in.
Really appreciate you being here. You put it in great terms. Alan Mendoza, Chief Advisor on Global Affairs from Reform UK, an ex-Conservative councillor who has defected to Nigel Farage's party 22 minutes to 8 o'clock. And even then, when I'm talking about, you know, the threat posed by Russia, we have a Russian spy ship as entering British waters nearly and trying to blind RAF pilots. What are you lot sending me messages about? Keir Starmer's open letter to his son. Morning, Jez. Is Keir talking about his dad? A poor attempt to convince the world that he's not an android? His dad did an OK job, I guess, but totally messed up when it came to installing the competency and emotional software needed in any parent. Hello to Nathan in Guernsey. Kev, what did you make of Sir Keir Starmer's letter?
Dear Keir, on International Men's Day, or as it probably be renamed International Persons Day, can it only be 16 months since you and your rabble were voted in? Believe me, it feels like a lot longer. You have taken our country that was mediocre at best to being now the laughingstock of the world and an absolute basket case. You've come in with the slogan of change, and boy, have you changed this country, certainly for the worst.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to Morning Glory. Listen, we've talked about breakfast clubs, Keir's open letter, a Russian warship that could mean war. It's all going on for a Thursday, but nothing gets you going more than our next story. We say a very good morning to the host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered, all the way live from LA. Kins, morning.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty, we're getting pretty low. I know that you've had a couple of terrible stories, and who am I to disrupt with the terrible stories?
I'd like to point something out before you do the Meghan thing. You've got exactly the same colour on that the wonderful Catherine, Princess of Wales, wore to the Royal Variety Show last night in London. Do you know that?
Well, now that you say that, that is absolutely true. The pictures of her and Paddington Bear made my heart explode. She's leaning over, talking to him in her sweet, princess voice.
It's a bear.
I just love them.
It's a
I
bear.
don't care.
All right.
I don't care.
I just want you're an adult. It's a bear. Okay. Can I just point this out though? Very
it's a bear.
quickly. Yeah. Do that again.
It's a bear.
Is that how I said? Do an impression of me. Go on. This is brilliant. She does it. Go on. Do an impression of me.
Kins, what are you doing, Kins?
Y'all have a nice day now, Kinsey. Now listen, very quickly, what makes us very happy today is not Catherine and the Royal Variety Show and Prince William and all that and everything that's going on. Meghan Markle, I'm just going to try and not throw up while I say this, has launched what can only be described as a new video for Christmas where she locks lips with Prince Harry. The cynics will say it was released just ahead of the Royal Variety Show. Shall we have a watch?
Let's do it.
Meggy Christmas, one and all. Here we go.
I love the holiday season. It's about finding time to connect with the people we love.
Yeah.
Yeah. Embracing traditions.
I like this.
There we go. And making new ones.
We are now in the It's pretty jolly here. Let's go craft. Heyo. It's so pretty.
So easy and elegant.
It's better the next day and everything turns red.
It's so festive. Being a hostess or a host, it's about making people feel comfortable.
You can do things that make people feel a little bit more seen. See?
Let the festivities commence and embrace the special touches that bring you joy.
Should we see if this works?
One,
there we go.
2, 3.
Oh! There we go.
First reactions is on YouTube. Kinsey Schofield, what do you make of that?
Well, first of all, over 90% downvotes on YouTube as of right now, and that's only going to get worse the longer this is up. And Netflix allows people to upvote, downvote. Meghan Markle giving Christmas advice, even though the majority of her own family don't even know her telephone number. That's not a holiday party. That's a witness protection program. Okay, JK? It's comical. But have you seen her magazine cover here in the States for Harper's Bazaar? Because you're going to die when I tell you what the inside says.
Well, a certain lady sent it to me at 4:25 a.m. this morning.
Sorry, that was me.
No, I was up.
Okay, good. She says, or in the article, the author says that even if no one else is in the house, Meghan has employees announce her as Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, when she enters a room.
What, on her own? She goes to the toilet, somebody goes, toilet, stand by, Meghan, Duchess of Sussex is about to have a wee. Is that what you... Really?
No, the author shows up and they're the only ones in the house. And the author says that Meghan, even though they're the only ones in the house, has an employee announce her as Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, which is ridiculous. And she pauses mid-interview at the Polo Lounge here in Beverly Hills, which I'm sure you've enjoyed, and takes a picture of her own face in the foam of her cappuccino.
I just, honestly, I cannot... I know people, there are one or two that stick up for them, right? I think she is... I don't know what's more vomit-inducing this morning, that video or Sir Keir Starmer's open video to his poor son, who's patently going to be bullied from now to the end of time, bless his heart. Just sum up. I wish we had more time, darling. You know that's always the case. What does she think people are going to think? It's just this continuous stream of BS that alienates people still further.
Well, that's the thing. Silenced or silenced is what Oprah Winfrey asked her. She's had 5 years, and what has she said of any value, JK? That is my point. You know, if you read this article, if you watch these programs, but specifically with this article, she has nothing of value to contribute. There's no substance in the interview and no overall goal or objective to where you understand what she's trying to accomplish. It seems like she just wants attention, and that's not what we admire in our royals. And so we're never going to follow her when she is all about self-promotion.
I think that's a really great way to sum it up. She is all about herself. It's almost narcissistic, whereas the royal family do their absolute level best amongst incredibly difficult times to do what's right for the country rather than themselves. I love the green. Go look at those pictures. You and Catherine are one and the same. Thank you, Kins, and thank you for the early morning wake-up call. What is it? 13 minutes to 8 o'clock. We're live across the UK, so there's that vomit-inducing video from Meghan Markle, and of course the Keir Starmer one. Dear son, don't listen to that voice. Voice. What did you make of it, Dan?
Dear Keir, that toe-curling, vomit-inducing gump of a video is another new low for you. That wasn't from the heart. That wasn't you in your office on your phone. That was in front of a production team, a camera, your advisors. That's you trying to be in touch with the people of this country, but it hasn't worked. It's disgusting. And to use your own son is even more disgusting. Do the right thing. Resign.
Some breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the home of common sense.
Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan. Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We have Kevin Hollinrake, the chairman of the Conservative Party, and just to tick, loads of you responding to the Breakfast Club story. The government announcing today a rollout of 500 more Breakfast Clubs. The open letter to Keir. Dear K, I'm a self-employed. My income is under 20 grand a year. I work 6 days a week, just paid my latest tax bill. My electricity, gas, water, council tax bills as well. I can't afford a dentist, even a night out. I worked it out that if I was on benefits, I would be better off, i.e. I would get help with all of my bills bills, my rent will be paid for me. Works out I'd get about 15, 16 grand a year. I know benefits are a lifeline for many people, and I would never, ever want that to change. What I'm asking is, why can't people like me be better off with incentives like no tax hike with bills? It's a no-brainer. He's basically saying, as John is, that we've been saying all week, how can you end up with a situation in this country where people are saying, is it worth my while working? Today we hear 500 more migrants daily signing up on benefits. I will repeat, really happy to go to work and pay my taxes for those less well off. People who can't help themselves, the mentally ill, the disabled. But we actually, as a society, have to have this discussion. People are gaming the system and taking advantage, and it doesn't work. Kevin Hollinraker, very good morning to you, sir. They tell me you're cold. Look at you on the... You've done the leaves. You're looking freezing, man. Are you all right?
No, I'm not cold. I'm from North Yorkshire. We're brought up harder than that.
Good man. Great to have you on. Thank you so much indeed. So much to talk about today. Can I ask you about this story? 500 migrants a day signing up for benefits. I say to every politician, and I say to you, Kevin, the British people are literally at the end of their tether. They are being taxed, and will still more next week, to the end of their lives. And many, in their hundreds, are contacting us saying, what's the point of even going to work when people get more for doing nothing or breaking into our country illegally, Kevin?
Well, I agree with that. That's why we've come out with a plan to cut £47 billion of the cost of running government, including £23 billion in terms of welfare spending on people with certain conditions such as low-level mental health. There's no way in the world that people should be better off in those situations than people are going out every day and working hard. That's what we've got to have, a system that rewards hard work, and that's why we want to reduce taxes, not increase taxes. But I'm afraid you're seeing the opposite from this government, and we've offered them a lifeline in terms of supporting them in terms of welfare reform, but they're not interested. They're not interested in working on that because their backbenchers are too strong for Keir Starmer, who's too weak. We need a leader with some backbone, I'm afraid, and that's not what we've got.
Don't take this the wrong way. You're the chairman of the Tory party, Nanda Kemi Badenoch. Even I would respectfully suggest that she's definitely turned a corner and her performances are better, and you're getting together a plan that perhaps people can listen to. But you're on the back foot because after 14 years of not doing what you said you're going to do, the British public stopped listening. Do you feel personally, do you feel a sort of moral responsibility when you look at this appalling shower of a government? I don't think I've ever in my 60 years come across any government this badly equipped. Did the Tory party feel guilty that this was their fault?
Well, of course we take responsibility for the things we got wrong, no doubt about it. And at times we took our eye off the ball in terms of things like migration. But that's why we need Kemi. She's the strongest leader I've known in all the time I've been in Parliament in the last 10 years. That's what we need. We did some very good things in 14 years against a backdrop of some challenging circumstances. COVID, cost of living crisis, the mess we inherited in 2010, but we made some mistakes, particularly on migration, and the welfare bill started to increase when we hit COVID and the aftermath of that, and we reacted too slowly to those things. We did start to get on top of things like the small boats. We legislated to stop them. Again, in the face of the challenges from the Lib Dems and Labour and the Green Party who tried to stop us, but we put that legislation in place with the Rwanda bill. What does Keir Starmer do as soon as he takes office? He scraps it. And, you know, so of course we made mistakes, and of course we should hold our hands up and say those things we didn't get right, but we got many things right. What we have now is a leader willing to take the very tough decisions. So to bring this deportation bill to basically deport anybody who has arrived here illegally, that could be around 750,000 people who are here illegally, which would reduce that benefits bill you're talking about, but also crucially doing away with, we've got a stronger economy. We're the only party that has got a plan, a team and a plan to make sure we live within our means. That's what we've got to do. So every other party who wants to run this country would, for example, scrap the two-child benefit limit. That's totally wrong. We're the only party that will stand up for things like that, and that's because we've got a strong leader with a plan for a stronger economy with stronger borders.
Let me ask you about that. I'm very similar in that I think it's an absolute joke that we're saying to people, and it's not popular, but, you know, we'll pay for you to have more kids now than 2. Just keep procreating. We've got to a point, I think, Kevin, where so many people are reliant on the state. Breakfast clubs. Today, the government announcing a rollout of 500 more breakfast clubs. In my opinion, might not be popular. I think you have to take responsibility for your kids. When I was growing up, we were clean, we were fed, and your parents went without, OK? You can't just keep procreating and expect the people paying taxes and going to work every day to wipe your backside. I'm guessing you'd agree with that, right?
I do agree with that. You know, I mean, we're giving schools more and more responsibility to do things that parents should be doing. Now, I'm not against breakfast clubs in certain circumstances, and we put those things in place in certain schools, in certain circumstances where you've got real deprivation. But nevertheless, generally, it's a parent's job where they can to feed their children and to make sure their teeth are brushed and make sure they're well dressed and go to school on time. All those kind of things are proper conservative values, personal responsibility. So I do agree with you, Jeremy.
Do you think, just very quickly to finish, we saw yesterday that left-wing man, Clive Lewis, MP for somewhere in Norfolk, Norwich, I think, say that he'd give his seat up for Andy Burnham. There is talk, non-stop talk, that Keir Starmer is a dead man walking. Who'd have thought, genuinely, 16 months ago, when you were trounced and he marched into Downing Street with the biggest majority since, well, post-war numbers came out, that it would be such a paralysed operation? It is, isn't it, Kev?
It's chaos. It's chaos, Jeremy. There's no doubt about it. And I mean, the reality is, you know, we lost last July, fair and square. You know, we made some mistakes and we paid the price. But it was never the case that Keir Starmer was popular on the doorstep, and he's much less popular now. And he's just not the strong leader we need right now. We've got so many challenges in our economy, and things have gone backwards at a rate of knots since he took over. So it really, and that's why you're getting all this talk of a leadership challenge, because he's just not the strong leader we need. I believe Kemi Badenoch is that person, and we need, you know, we'd love to have an early election so we can decide who the country would like to see run the country now. And for me, Kemi Badenoch is the only choice we have if people want that stronger economy, stronger borders.
Just very quickly, did you see the open letter Starmer sent to his son? Nauseating thing overnight. Did you see that?
I did.
You've only got 10 seconds.
I did.
What would your open letter be to Keir? Dear Keir, what would you say?
Well, I hope his son writes him one back, said, "Dear Keir, pull yourself together."
Good man. Kevin Hollinrate, thank you very much indeed. Tory party chairman, braving the cold there on College Green outside the Houses of Parliament. Daphne in Birmingham. Is Starmer trying to be John Lewis 2.0? I'm shrinking away from his fake attempt to bond with his son. Be a dad. Quite agree. It's almost 8 o'clock. We're live across the United Kingdom. This is Talk, where the nation comes to talk. Next hour starts with Jack Elson. We'll do breakfast clubs, we'll do migrants, and we'll do Keir's open letter. Dear Keir, after the news at 8.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
A very good morning. Welcome to, what is it, Thursday, the 20th of November. We're live across the UK. This is Talk, the home of common sense, where the nation does come to talk. As ever, please be involved. Your reaction to the day's news is what it's all about. 87-222 for your text. Start your message with the word talk, or 0344 499 1000. If you want to just leave a voice note, we'd be more than happy. You're waking up to lots of news today. Nearly 500 migrants a day are newly signing up to benefits. This is as we approach a budget that's going to tax every working person in this country, where almost all of our public services are stretched and where most of us can't even get the most basic help we want. Come to this country illegally. Sign up on benefits. Hundreds of parents this morning, including the BBC, already under fire over doctoring, speeches by Trump and others, damaging their children with their constant drip feed of pro-trans bias. One example in the Doctors, oh my God, episode of Doctors, a mother said, "I know my 6-year-old daughter's trans because her best friend's a boy and she plays in the mud." That's what we're dealing with in our schools. As a parent, how does that make you feel? But what's really grabbed you, and I know, listen, don't let me wrong, there's a Russian warship on the edge of the English waters and they're shining lights into our sailors' hands and eyes, and I get all of that. But you're lovely people, because what's really got you this morning is two stories. The government has announced the rollout of 500 more breakfast clubs. Now, it might be an outrageous for you, it might not to you. I always try and think about the people that go to work. Really happy to pay for people who can't help themselves. But if we're going to end the 2-cap child benefit and say, keep procreating, we'll pay you, and we're going to say, just have breakfast, we'll send your kids to school, we'll give them breakfast, teach them how to clean their teeth and be potty trained. What happened to the old days of parents taking responsibility for their kids? It's just a thought. Love to know what you think, but when we were kids, your mum did all of that for you, and that was what happens. Are we expecting the state to do too much for us? Love to hear from you on that. 87-222. Start your message with the word talk. But the genius that is Christian found this clip overnight, ladies and gentlemen. Keir Starmer thought that he would celebrate International Father's Day, or Men's Day, I should say, actually, by sending an open letter to his son, who at this moment in time is recoiling in embarrassment, the poor kid. This is what this man sent online to his 17-year-old.
A letter to my son. It feels like only yesterday that we brought you home. So nervous, but so excited for the journey ahead. Today, almost unbelievably, you're already 17. You're taller than I am. And you've grown into a confident, kind, wonderful young man. I remember when we watched Adolescence together, and as a dad, I was tough to see at times. If I had one message for you, and for every other child growing up, it would be this: don't listen to that voice.
What voice? I reckon your son's listening to talk, that's what it is. You're worried, aren't you? You're worried. I don't know about you, and I'm not being disrespectful. He didn't even sound like a father, an emotionless politician with no DNA. Why would you do that to your own son? All day we've said, just send us the letter that you would like to send back. Just for Paul in Belfast, dear Keir, just stop. Jamie, what did you make of the Omen letter, my friend?
Dear Keir, I do hope this letter finds you well after International Man's Day. I know the cost of living crisis is hitting us all hard, and you may not be able to afford the heating. Please put another free suit on from Lord Alley, just so you can keep warm this winter. Let your wife put another free dress on from Lord Alley, just so she can keep warm this winter. And I hope you're reading this letter with your free glasses from Lord Alley. Keir, please have a wonderful Christmas. Just because the rest of us are miserable doesn't mean you need to be too.
Unbelievable. Keep the response coming, 87-222. And on the Breakfast Club thing as well, Joe from Bournemouth, you're 100% correct. The breakfast doesn't have to be expensive, Jez. You can buy a packet of malted wheats, that's the copy of Shreddies, for around £1, 4 pints of milk for £1.50. That's a week's breakfast for my kids for £2.50. Maybe not feeding your child should be seen as more of a neglect thing. Also, Caroline, this is interesting. I was a teaching assistant for 16 years, Jez, and part of my job was working in the breakfast club. Parents should know that the food used is the cheapest and nastiest quality and the level of waste is huge. I left working in education because of poor behaviour, but that's another story. So much to do. What letter would you write to Keir? Dear Keir, what do you think of breakfast clubs? All of this on the lap of the political editor of The Sun. We say a very good morning to the legend that is Jack Elsom.
Good morning, Jeremy. I can't believe you missed out the part where you take credit for my entire career, as you do every single day. But I was gonna say, I am more than grateful, as I always am. But you stole my thunder.
No, I'm just. I don't know what's wrong with me today. I'm just so grateful you're on, you wonderful man. Jack, before we talk about the Russian ship, if you had to write an open letter, dear Keir, what would it say, Jack Elsom?
Well, it will basically say what I wrote on page 10 of the Sun newspaper today, which is that you should think again, rather than putting up all these little taxes, which is going to destroy livelihoods, and actually look at the enormous amounts of public spending we have in this country. It might not be exactly D.H. Lawrence in terms of how romantic the letter is written, but I do think that's probably something Keir Starmer needs to hear at the moment.
Couldn't agree more. And did you like the way I fed you that line so you could promote, in fact? I mean, today it's sort of all about you, isn't it? Because you're on the front page, page 10. The whole newspaper is sort of Jack Elsom ink. Let's throw at you. Can we just talk about this Russian spy ship? Because every single news network is leading on that, and I'm leading on Keir Starmer writing a letter to his son because, I mean, look, great headline, ship hits the fan. A Russian spy ship near British waters. What are they doing? They shone lasers in the eyes of English soldiers, pilots, RAF, whatever it is. Listen to this from Andy in the Wirral. This Russian spy ship that's been caught in UK waters, if a member of the public were to shine lasers into commercial airlines' cockpits, we would get a jail sentence. So why the hell don't we seize this ship and arrest this bloody crew straight away?
Do you know what? Lots of people were saying this yesterday because when John Healey stood up at the lectern of number 9 Downing Street and revealed this pretty extraordinary clash between the Yantar spy vessel and our RAF pilots, many people just thought, how much more of this are we going to take? It's the second time this ship has strayed into British waters in the space of the past year. Clearly, Putin is provoking us. What is our response going to be? Now, John Healey said all military options are on the table, and he's got plans to respond if the Yantar moves south again in the next few weeks. And we know it's still currently lurking off the coast of Scotland. It's incredibly difficult, I guess, for the government because, on the one hand, this is a nuclear-armed nation right now. And I don't think anyone would want us seen into serious conflict with Russia to the extent that we already are basically in proxy in terms of supporting Ukraine. But on the other hand, if you don't stand up to bullies and tyrants like Vladimir Putin, then he will just continue to press buttons and provoke and stray and take liberties. And so, I think that John Healey, definitely one of the more impressive cabinet ministers, gave a pretty assured display yesterday. And I felt pretty comfortable that actually, there is going to be some sort of response if this happens again.
Credit where credit's due, John Healey does certainly come across as one of the more erudite and switched on members of the Labour government. In fact, doesn't get criticised because I think he's a military man and I think he's switched on. You have to, I guess, many people this morning saying to us, I mean, how prepared would we be? We hear on a daily basis we don't spend enough of our GDP on our military resources. In fact, it would be fair to say that governments for 20 years have seen it as an easy cut due to what they saw as the end of the Cold War, and starting with May have decimated our armed forces. And perhaps one thing that comes from situations like this is that realisation that, call me old-fashioned, but I thought the two first things that any government was elected to do was to protect us militarily and make sure we were OK economically, both of which, I mean, look at the front of the Mail this morning. What percentage of Britons think the economy is in great shape under Labour? A fat zero. Can I ask you about this Breakfast Club thing? You might think this is not a massive subject, but it's completely gone through the roof. Starmer goes on and on and on about breakfast clubs. The government today announcing the rollout of 500 more. I'm old-fashioned, I'm 60. Our parents didn't have much, but they always put kids first. The difference between the Labour Party, Jack, and other parties is this sort of belief that you should be reliant on the state. We hear that next week in the budget, Rachel Reeves might end that cap on 2 kids, which means that you know, and you might disagree with this, is my view, but, you know, go and have more, keep procreating, sign on and we'll give you more money. And I just don't think that message, I know there are many people who need that, but when I watch Rachel Reeves say kids shouldn't be born into poverty, am I wrong in saying if you're skint, don't have kids?
Yeah, and it's a very contentious debate. On the one hand, clearly, you know, children that grow up in poverty might need a helping hand. But I would say 2 points to this. I think that the idea that they're free breakfast clubs, they're not free. Someone's paying for it, and it's His Majesty's taxpayer, and taxes are going to go up in the budget. It seems that since COVID, we really have become a nation that is hooked on handouts. And it does seem that at the moment, you know, a billion here, a billion there, you know, what's a billion between friends? Well, actually, it's quite a lot of money. And so I think that clearly, you know, the Labour government and many of their MPs are pushing them to go further with public spending in terms of trying to alleviate things like child poverty. But does it need to be really rolled out across all primary schools? There's a Tory MP the other day, Tom Hugenhart, who responded to a Department for Education press release which says, we don't want parents to be out of pocket by feeding their kids. And I think he rightly said, why would I be out of pocket doing the basic function of parenthood, which is feeding my kids in the morning? Now, I understand that for some people who are really struggling to make ends meet, that might not be totally possible, although you'd think that in terms of the list of their priorities, it'd be pretty high up there. But, you know, fair enough, some people will probably need a helping hand. But to roll it out across the board, I think many people will think, actually, maybe parents can actually put their hands in their pocket.
I completely agree, and you're right. It's contentious. It's like the welfare discussion we had the other day. Today we find out 500 migrants a day signing up to benefits. Whenever we say, hold on a second, how much of a, you know, an easy target are we now? People rightly jump up and down and get scared, those who are mentally ill genuinely and are disabled, and they go, they're going to finish it, they're going to finish it. And I always want to say, for every migrant, OK, who signs up, for every dosser, and I can use that word, who has got no intention of working, who signs up and takes advantage of every single thing that seems to be on offer, the genuine people, Jack Elsom, are missing out because this country's skint. And the reality is you have to use the resources you've got, which seem to shrink under this government on a daily basis, to pay for the people who, well, A, deserve it, and B, I would respectfully suggest, have paid into it for years.
You know what? Last week or the week before, I can't remember when it was, and Rachel Reeves stood up and did that sort of weird pre-budget press conference.
Yeah, it was weird.
One of the phrases which really sticked in the craw for many people who got in touch with me was when Rachel Reeves says, everyone's going to have to do their bit. Now, for many people, they're thinking, hang on, I already do my bit. I go to work, I obey the law, I pay my taxes. Meanwhile, there is a group in society that is not doing their bit. They're not pulling their weight, and they're getting a bit of a free ride. And I think that that is what the government needs to focus on. You know, the amount of people who are not working, be it British, be they non-British. I think that there is just a overwhelming need now and desire from the people of this country and the working people of this country for this government, of all governments, to lance the boil of welfare reform, because tinkering with a few taxes, putting up a taxi tax, putting up a landlord tax, a betting tax, a sodding milkshake tax, you know, this is going to hit everyone. Meanwhile, they are ignoring the elephant in the room here, which is £300 billion on welfare spending. Sickness benefits alone go up to £100 billion by the end of this parliament. And meanwhile, we're going to fiddle around with a few billing here and there. As I write in the paper today, you are literally fiddling while Rome burns, because we have an economy which is essentially on fire because the drag anchor of welfare and benefits is just enormous now. It is enormous. A smaller, shrinking working population is subsidising a growing non-working population.
I couldn't agree more. But the problem is, and you know this politically, I mean, we had that scene yesterday, I think on a BBC show, probably edited, that Clive Lewis, that odious left-winger from Norwich, said, and I quote, "I'll give my seat up for the good of the people and the party and this country. Starmer needs to go." He's a Labour MP. Andy Burnham needs to come in. The fact is, Keir Starmer and his ally Rachel Reeves are so inextricably linked, right? There is no doubt the economy is in the most appalling way, and anything that needs to be done hard, whether it's cutting the welfare bill, and he tried that before, They ain't going to get past their left-wing backbenchers. They want that Shabana Mahmood. Credit where credit's due. Some of the best rhetoric I've heard for years as a Home Secretary. Won't get that out the starting gate because all the lovies will jump up and down and say that's racist or it's wrong. And so you've got a Prime Minister who's hamstrung. I believe he's hamstrung because he doesn't have the ability to make a decision, isn't strong enough to keep his backbenchers in order and got elected. Actually, he didn't get elected. He won because the Tories lost, is how I see it. And we're in this terrible position. But you're right. The conversations about breakfast clubs, the conversations about benefits have to be had going forward. We can't shirk it anymore. We're spending $10 billion a month paying the interest on our debts, Jack. It's crazy.
Yeah, and just to take the issue of welfare reform, before the election, the Labour Party said only Labour can do serious welfare reform because the Tories, they'll be accused of being the nasty, cruel Tories who are taking money out of people's pockets. We, from a position of compassion, actually want people to work. The clue is in the name, Labour, getting people back to work. Since then, what we've seen is the Prime Minister and his Chancellor essentially become a hostage with their own backbenchers to the point where they were forced to jettison a very small, modest package of £5 billion of welfare savings in the summer. And now they're being forced into scrapping the two-child benefit cap of the budget. Going to cost another few £1 billion. All the while, in the election, they said they couldn't do this because it's unaffordable. But apparently to them, the state is now... the state of play is that it's affordable to scrap the two-child benefit cap, but unaffordable to the point where you're having to put taxes up on the rest of us. The whole thing stinks, and I think that the Prime Minister and the Chancellor need to start standing up to these backbenchers and assert strength, because when they stand up at the budget next week, they're speaking to three people. They're obviously speaking to the markets, and they need to keep the markets on side and not just put more money onto the slate. Clearly, the Parliamentary Labour Party is going to be a big factor of their calculations because they are politically weak and at the mercy of them. But for goodness sake, the most important constituency you need to talk to is the country, who are getting sick of paying through the nose for more and more taxes year after year. And it's not just Labour, Tories as well. But Labour came in to government with a promise to fix this. They talked about growth. What's happened to growth? It's gone on the floor. So I just think that what we really need is some bold, radical decisions. As I point out today, spending is one of them, because spending is being ignored now. Serious attempts to rein in spending by the last few governments, and it is time for that, boil to be lanced, the nettle to be grasped, and someone actually to suddenly cut all this money.
I completely agree with you, and actually, whether he's the person or not, I don't believe he is. This country is, I always say it at a seminal moment, right? This country would never 10 years ago have had the debate about immigration. You'd have been accused of everything if you even brought that up. This country wouldn't have talked about our benefit system is drowning us. This country wouldn't have talked about how the NHS might be a great idea but isn't fit for purpose. The British people, you're right, Jack, are taxed to the hilt. They are fed up with being 28th in the queue. And whatever political party, there was that odious... See that cap, was it Eccles? That Labour MP who said to Shabana Mahmood... I mean, she said to Shabana Mahmood, well, you're just pandering to the electorate. Yes, you stupid lady, because we elect you. That's the point, isn't it? And I do think most of these politicians are in for a real rude awakening. You said at the beginning, I always say, you owe me your career. I feel like a proud dad, man. You're brilliant. We really, I am not your dad, by the way. I'd like to point that out. But
yeah, I don't want you writing me any letters anytime soon. But
dear Jack, I'm really proud of you.
Oh, well, thank you very much, Jeremy. It is a pleasure, as always.
My son's embarrassed to be my son, so I'm sure that Keir Starmer's son's going to be mortified. You're alleged. Great page 10 as well today, and great answer. Jack Elsom, the Sun's political editor, thank you so much indeed. Morning, Jez. Kevin Gloucester, on the subject of breakfast clubs, our oldest daughter is a single mum with 2 sons, and works for a living. My wife calculated that if you buy the cheaper version of Tesco Weetabix, you can make 2 Weetabix with milk and a slice of toast with jam for 15 pence. That is, if you can be bothered to get your lazy backside out of bed in the morning to prepare it. So don't tell me you have to send your kids to school hungry. Take responsibility. Loads of you responding to the government's announcement of 500 more breakfast clubs. Difficult and contentious issues, but there we go. Joanna in Salisbury. Maybe if we weren't taxed up to the hilt working all hours just to make ends meet, we wouldn't need breakfast clubs. Bring back cookery lessons in school and teach them about nutrition. The Starmer letter. Dear son, this is brilliant. This is from Starmer's son. Dear Dad, I'm 18 next birthday, so I can vote. So I'm going to be voting for Farage. No hard feelings. Do one. That's his own son. Melanie, what did you make of Starmer's letter?
Dear Kate, I want to start by saying thank you. It's been unpleasant watching my granny freeze and struggle in the cold. My dad working all hours, even though he's old. Bringing home pittance is not how it should be, yet all is good for those overseas. To come in and basically take everything from me, living it up, housed warm and rich, while we struggle, you silly twit. So thank you for nothing, you silly old fool. Step down now, let someone else rule.
Some breaking news for you coming out of Liverpool Crown Court.
Loads to talk about, I promise you that. Loads and loads and loads.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the programme. Welcome to the home of common sense.
Yes, it's me again, your genial host, Kevin O'Sullivan. Top of the morning to you. This is Talk Breakfast. I'm Mark Dolan.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Good morning, my friends. Welcome to Talk. This is where the nation comes to speak. It's the home of common sense. It's 8:25. We're live across a very nippy United Kingdom. If you want to be part of the debate, 0344 419 1000 for your voice notes and those texts on 87222. You're waking up to lots of stories. Nearly 500 migrants are signing up daily for benefits. Hundreds of parents have this morning accused the BBC of damaging their children with pro-trans bias. They cite an example from Doctors, the programme. It's brilliant, this. Where a mother says on the BBC, I knew my 6-year-old daughter was transgender because her best friend was a boy and she liked to play in the mud. We'll talk energy in a minute, where Ed Miliband's mad, crazy idea to get clean energy and get to net zero, not that anybody else cares, will increase your bills by another £150. But because you're such a unique bunch of people, what's really got you this morning is the government has announced the rollout of 500 more breakfast clubs. How difficult, though, I'm asking, and not really difficult, is it to feed your kids some basic breakfast? Is it down to the state? Maisie from Kent. I used to have ready break, yes. My mum used to give us ready break, and you'd have that orange circle around your body all day, full of sugar, you had no teeth. But she said, I used to have ready break before school in the 60s with evaporated milk on top. Takes 5 minutes and it filled us up every single day. Absolutely. The other big news of the day is Keir Starmer's letter to his son. We've played it so many times. Some of your response has been unbelievable. I simply said to you, you know, what would you say to Sir Keir Starmer? Dear Keir, we've got the music. Dear Keir, I live in fear because you're here and things are so very dear. I can't afford to heat my home. I can't afford to eat as well. Why, oh why, do you make us pensioners live in hell? Just do one, says David. I mean, it's true, isn't it? Breakfast clubs. Mark, good morning.
Hi, gentlemen. Mark from Manchester. If all child benefits was given in food vouchers, then the kids would be getting fed proper food. No sugary stuff, just fruit, vegetables and meat in vouchers. We wouldn't have to do breakfast clubs like we are doing. More money off the taxpayer. So we give them child benefit and then we buy the breakfast as well. Jesus Christ.
I'd only say, and listen, everybody's entitled, Marky, I'm not disagreeing with you, but experience would tell me, and this will go down like a lead balloon, that many people in that way of life that don't put their kids first will probably trade those vouchers for other things. Work it out yourself. Jez, maybe these parents living a life on benefits should be working under community service, keeping their towns and villages, etc. clean. Same for the migrants and hotels. Like in prisons, they're employed as cooks and cleaners. So maybe the migrants and the long-term unemployed should rotate tasks in the hotels. They could save money on sending cleaners, and people in the communities as well could give something back. Katie in Yorkshire, I completely and utterly agree with you. I've said it for a long, long time. If you are long-term unemployed and you want to work, and there are plenty, by the way, who do, isn't that a way of motivating you to get you out of bed or get something on your CV or make you interested? Michael's in Suffolk. Morning, Jez. Oh, my God. Can you imagine the sex education chat the Starmers had around the family dinner table in that monotone voice? Sorry, son. I know you're going through a difficult stage of your life, but I can't really tell what a woman is. You better ask your mum. I think a woman might have a penis. How to completely destroy your son's future, says Michael in Suffolk. Right, 8:30. Can you imagine that? I think your mother might have a... Never mind. Right, 8:30. The other main news story today, well, I say main, it's not really. Ed Miliband's energy plan. You know this, we're going to take all the land from farmers, we're going to screw them, then we're going to put the wind farms up, or those solar panels, but the wind farm things, it's one of life's great unanswered questions, isn't it? Because most of the time it doesn't blow enough to create enough energy, so we'll have to import it from somewhere else. That'll cost more, that's not our fault because it doesn't blow enough. But then when it does, this is my favourite, when it does blow too much, we don't actually have the ability to store what's just been created. Oh, and by the way, if we did turn it off because it's blowing too much, that costs more than buying it anyway. A very good morning to the writer and co-founder of Climate Debate UK. Ben Pyle, you're on. Pile on. Never mind. How are you?
Good morning, Jeremy.
You've never heard that before, have you? I could tell by your face.
I've heard all sorts of things, you know.
Well, listen, at school I was called Kyle Pyle Hemorrhoid, so I'm quite happy to go with the joke. Ben...
it's a new one.
Yeah, no, I know. My friend, I find these conversations, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm too set in my ways. How can anybody with a brain cell honestly say that billions and billions of pounds that we can't afford because we're skint should continue to be spent on some crazy ideology that gets us to a point that doesn't achieve much, that the rest of the world is not interested about, especially, my friend, when there are so many problems in our world and in our society?
Well, I can't account for what's driving Ed Miliband and the Labour Party, and to be fair, the other legacy parties as well, and their commitments to the green agenda. I've been trying to point it out for a very long time, 20 years or so, that these price rises are the inevitable consequences of letting ideology contaminate the institutions that were developed in theory to look after us and protect our interests. And there are a number of people who have also been doing that, probably with a lot more expertise than I have in the field of energy production and markets and so on over the same course. And everything that they've said about this, the problems with the green energy agenda have come true. All of their analyses from 20 years ago, from 15, 10 years ago, from 5 years ago has come true. So it's very interesting to now see, even from within the energy, the pro net zero side is now producing reports like we've seen the one today published in the Times, or perhaps yesterday, saying that the energy bills are going to rise by another £150 by 2030 if Ed Miliband's agenda is stuck to. Now that again, I'll say this is a pro net zero report, and the energy industry is now worked out that there is a massive political liability from these bills, not just because they put extra pressure on households, but that taking away that income from households then reduces the number of people who are spending that money elsewhere in the economy. Prices are going to go up in the stores, in the shops, that is to say. We're not America. And it's going to be harder for producers, manufacturers, farmers to make things at a decent price that people are used to. So those prices are going to go up. So if you listen to the people that have been pointing this out for decades, £150 is just the start of it. By 2030, Ed Miliband's clean power agenda is more likely to cost the household, not just in the form of bills, but of increased cost of living, close to £1,000 in the mid 900s, and that's for an average house.
Just to explain to me one thing, because you used a phrase there that fascinates me, because I'm very sort of straight down the line with this. You said that even those whose ideology this is have worked out that there is maximum political liability as a result of how ordinary everyday people have gone, sorry, let me get this straight. We're borrowing billions every month just to pay our debts. That's how skint we are. And yet we've got a government who seems to want to follow an ideology that makes no sense for years and further skint us, and our bills are going up. What the hell, Ben, did they expect, the British people, the electorate? Because I'm always told everybody wants climate change. I think that, by the way, is a big lie. I think people, if you ask somebody, are you concerned about climate change or the environment? They go, yeah, of course I am. But this is 15 steps further and is madness, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think one of the problems is it's quite possible that the government has just been completely hollowed out. It has no capacity to really make any judgments, and it's surrounded by what we call blobs, the corporate lobbies and academic lobbies, which are sort of very often just glorified think tanks with ideological agendas, especially in relation to climate change. And I don't mean climate science here specifically. I mean all sorts of downstream policy stuff. And there's quite a few people who have made, or quite a few organisations that are quite ideologically driven and have been driven by cash from green corporations and green billionaires that put together these stories about how there's going to be green jobs and how there's going to be a green economy and green growth. And those have been quite compelling for many people in the British establishment, and institutions, but they haven't subjected those stories to any criticism whatsoever. It's just a utopian dream, and what's left out of those analyses, if we can be so kind and call them that, rather than stories, is that is what is required by way of social reorganisation, and that's a pretty comprehensive ideological agenda whereby we transfer a hell of a lot of wealth, we destroy a lot of wealth, and we sort of have to have lifestyles that are something approximate to the peasant class in the Dark Ages. I don't want to be dramatic about it because we've got new technologies, but it's not possible to have an economy like the one we have become used to up until the 2000s, without having an energy source which is capable of moving things around as we need them, providing light when we need it, letting us turn the washing machine on when we were having a bath or a shower when we need them, and so on and so forth, across the whole piece.
Mate, I couldn't agree more. I don't want to. You know what it's like when you're doing a show like this. We're up against it. But what I love about Climate Debate UK is that you need to tell people, because I think so many people have an opinion on this. I think so many people are just waking up, as they are with so many things, Ben, to what the reality of this is. This is ideological. It is based on a few people who want to push this. But the bottom line is, financially and in all sorts of ways, it's not sustainable. Listen, we could talk all day. I'm sort of with Donald Trump. We've got liquid gold under the North Sea, for Christ's sake, and we're skinned. I'd pay off all those debts in a heartbeat by drilling tomorrow. And all those people who go, oh, fracking, what about... Well, give those people's energy bills free for a year. It's not rocket science. Ben, don't think me rude, my friend. I have to go, but thank you so much indeed. Ben Pyle, writer and co-founder of Climate UK. You are responding in your droves to Keir Starmer's open letter to his son. Jan in Gosford says, I can't believe that there wouldn't be rows in Starmer's house this morning. Having 3 older boys, I know they would absolutely hate me for making that public. If you missed it, this was him earlier basically saying, you know, dear son, it's hard for you and I'm with you and life is very tough and I take you to the Arsenal and we have a takeaway and don't listen to those voices. I've asked you to write your letters to dear Keir. Let's play that music again. Dear Dad, you're an absolute bloody idiot. Why did you do this? I can't even walk down the street this morning without people pointing at me and laughing. My girlfriend phoned me at 6:30 a.m. to tell me to get lost. I expect my teachers will be unable to teach me because they'll be head down on the desk crying with laughter, as will the rest of my friends. I wish you were more like your dad and just didn't talk to me. You've ruined my life. You wooden-faced failure. Dad, get stuffed. Brilliant. Jezza, this is from Mike in Blackpool. Dear Keir, I write from windswept streets where pennies groan and ends don't meet, where every bill arrives like doom and hope feels cramped for want of room. The nation's purse is as thin as air, its pockets frayed beyond repair. We're counting coins, we're counting sighs, and dreaming smaller just to get by. So when you speak, please heed this choice. Don't drown us in that steady voice. Not every worry needs a drone. We need some fire to cut the monotone. But still I wrote in hopeful plea, lead with courage, let us see a Britain mended fair and clear, and one that says, get lost, Sir Keir. Nice. This is Talk.
Across the UK. On DAB+. On YouTube. On your mobile. And on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to Morning Glory. Yeah, have you done that yet, by the way? It's very important, the old Talk app. Get rid of the old one, talkTV, by December the 1st. The new one is fantastic. You can take us with you wherever you want to go. The carsy, the car, the bus. Not school, obviously. We've got some breaking news politically. Andy Burnham, the Mayor of Manchester, has this morning stopped short of ruling out a return to the House of Commons so he can challenge struggling Sir Keir Starmer as the leader and Prime Minister. The Manchester Mayor is at the centre of renewed speculation after Rebel MP Clive Lewis, MP for Norwich, dramatically offered yesterday to give up his seat. Today, Burnham, when questioned, refused to bat it away. Then he say this, Andy Burnham. I'm not sure how you go and stand in a seat that isn't in Manchester, because Manchester's your home. So if you go and parachute in somewhere else, do you stay to the same values? I could be missing the point. Loads of you responding, by the way, not only about Keir's letter, but breakfast clubs. Other side of the coin, important here. Claire, thank you for your message. My son and daughter-in-law both work full-time and have 3 kids. They struggle financially and are often behind with their bills despite the fact they work. The breakfast clubs they used aren't for breakfast. They're used because parents have to be at work an hour before school starts. And I take that point, Claire. I think it's an important point to make. As I also said, that people are taking advantage. Britain, oh, dear Keir, we're off again. Sort yourself out, man. Are we doing the music? We got the music? Dear Keir, oh, really? No. Dear Keir, sort yourself out, man, for Christ's sake. You've embarrassed your son. You're an embarrassment on the world stage. And frankly, you've made this country a laughing stock. Time to put your feet up and relax on the world stage. No, time to put your feet up and relax on the back benches and retire away from the world stage. All our love, Great Britain. This is Richard. Dear Keir, don't listen to those voices, especially from the far right. Yeah, absolutely. Linda in Stalybridge is not, so we can drop the music. She says, in terms of breakfast clubs, which is fascinating, if the ones who cannot afford breakfast for their kids are genuine, can you explain to me why most of them have a phone, they have their nails done, their lips done, and they seem to be covered in tattoos? Just saying, Linda in Stalybridge. Quite right. What is it? 8:45 already. Where have I been? Next, the lady that, if I have anything to do with it, will be the next mayor of London and destroy that odious imbecile, Sadiq Khan. Layla Cunningham, a very good morning to you. How are you?
Good morning to you. How are you?
I'm very good. I'm going to throw loads of stuff at you. You've only got 5 minutes. 500 more breakfast clubs the government announces this morning. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. You've got kids. I've got kids. We hear this child cap of 2 will go. Rachel doesn't want kids to live in poverty. Am I alone in thinking that we should take responsibility for what we create? We shouldn't be giving money to people to flexlessly just keep procreating, or am I being too harsh?
Well, I mean, I think anyone can give their child breakfast. I mean, you can. I buy actually a great loaf of toast from Marks and Spencer's, and it's 75p. I don't think we should be funding breakfast clubs, no. But my kids actually don't like breakfast. Do you have kids, Jeremy?
Do I have kids? I've got 6. They all want bloody breakfast. I'm trying to educate. My son once said to me, he was offered by his granny years and years ago, would you like a bacon sandwich? And he went, have you got any smoked salmon? Honestly, I put him in the garden for a week. Layla, so much going on this morning. Did you hear that open letter from Sir Keir Starmer to his son?
I didn't, actually. I didn't hear it fully. But, yeah, there is a lot going on. I mean, yeah, we've got illegal immigrants coming in. Taxes are going up.
The whole thing's a disaster, isn't it? I mean, do you get the feeling that, I mean, we just read that breaking news that Andy Burnham's refusing to break by saying that he's not going to come back into the Commons. Keir Starmer, to me, seems to be a man who is literally holed up in Downing Street waiting for the inevitable to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he's not leading the country and he's not leading his party anymore.
No.
And this is such a critical time for the country with everyone is dreading the budget coming out. And they're trying to figure out who's going to lead the party.
I mean, it's extraordinary, and seemingly whatever side he looks at, 500 migrants a day signing on to benefits, more breakfast clubs for the long-term unemployed, and of course there's always that debate, isn't there, Layla, where you have to go, quite rightly, there are people who are in need, but they're missing out because of this government's incompetence, and absolutely because we're allowing unvetted people to break into our country and receive more than the indigenous population.
Yeah, I mean, there's no justification for a system where British citizens face record taxes and foreign nationals get to sign on for benefits in record numbers. None of us voted to bankroll half the world. It's just not fair. I think one of the reports today, 500 migrants a day signing up for universal
500 a day, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then Labour, I think today, said there'll be no benefits if you sign up for... Sorry, you won't get ILR if you sign up for benefits, but they've built in some loopholes. However, if you volunteer, community contribution, charitable work, that all counts as earned settlement. But, Jeremy, none of that pays for our hospitals, schools, policing. It doesn't reduce our tax bill.
No.
I
just feel like the morality...
If I do charity work, I don't get a tax break.
No, I know. For me, the whole thing's wrong, and I keep saying it. And Reform may well have the answers. Please God, they do. But we seem to have got to a point in this country on almost every level where and I know I keep coming back to it. The people who have put in, the people who live their lives correctly, who make effort, who feed their kids, who go to work, who make those sacrifices, who pay their tax bills, who don't break the law, who just do what you're supposed to do in a civilised society, are being usurped and treated worse than criminals being let out early and being given whatever, migrants coming to our country and being given a better standard of living than people that work. You know, I'm talking pensioners, waspy women, farmers, almost everybody that to me is the bedrock of our society, just being told to do one. And I just think there comes a point where the British public will go, no more. No more.
Well, I mean, I agree. You definitely don't feel that the British state is serving British citizens first.
No.
At all. And we're told to tighten our belt, but somehow the government never tightens its belts. Brace ourselves, they tell us. You know, I mean, Reform did outline how she could save 25 billion this year.
Yeah.
And of course they're not going to do it. But you know, we're sending over £10 billion in foreign green aid, Jeremy. Who wants that?
Well, I remember it. I said this the other day during the austerity years when I was on. I remember that somebody told me there were 33 government departments and 32 had their budgets cut. The only one that didn't was the International Development Fund. And they all jump up and down. Well, it's very important that we build fountains in Eritrea. It might well be, but actually say that to Betty and Berry, who rings this show the whole time, who can't heat a house, who's waiting for a hip replacement and paid a tax for 50 years. It just doesn't add up.
It doesn't. You feel that they're prioritising other countries over their own.
Honestly, I completely get it. It frustrates the hell out of me. Every time you come on, they all want to know one thing. Are you standing up against Sadiq Khan, then, or what?
I might, and I think if I do, I probably win, Jeremy.
Very good. I'll tell you something else as well. How early do you get up with your many kids?
Well, a lot of them are teenagers, so not that early. And luckily, my little one gets up quite late, actually.
Can you come in and do the papers one morning from 6 till 7 because we thought you'd be brilliant?
Yeah, love that.
Brilliant. We'll put you up, Layla. Fantastic.
Thank you.
It's no Breakfast Club for her. She doesn't even get kids breakfast, don't need it. You see, the teenagers. I've got to do this before we go to a break. This is the greatest response. Keir Starmer doing that open letter to his son. Ladies and gentlemen, on Talk, I've just received this from his son. It's not, it's James from Liverpool. It is I, your son, writing to report catastrophic performance issues in your role, Dad, as Prime Minister. 1, you said you'd bring real change, but the only change I've seen is you're changing your mind every 5 bloody minutes. Dad, your speeches are so dull they could come with a government health warning for extreme boredom. Even our houseplants tend to fall asleep, Mum says. 3, you talk endlessly about long-term decisions, yet you can't even decide what to have for dinner without launching a full internal review in the Starmer household. Stability. Dad, do me a bloody favour. The wobbly garden table has shown more stability than your entire cabinet. Dad, you keep insisting you have a bold vision for my country, but you can't even find your glasses, so how do you expect me to be convinced? Frankly, Dad, this nation deserves answers, and so do I, about how you manage to look exhausted when you actually seem to do nothing at all at work. I strongly recommend, Dad, immediate improvements. Failure to comply will result in the formation of a shadow dad with significantly better approval ratings. Your brutally honest son. This is Talk.
In terms of your question around taxes, there are no additional tax rises needed beyond the ones that I've set out.
Don't need to increase taxes. I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes.
I will not increase your national insurance. I will not increase your VAT, and I will not increase your income tax.
We don't need to come back for more. We've done that now. We've wiped the slate clean.
The economic circumstances have declined, deteriorated since a year ago. We are having to look at taxes and spending.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back to Morning Glory. Don't forget that brand new Talk app. Download it today. Don't leave it. Seriously, get it done. That new app, not the Talk TV one, the new one that simply says Talk. You can take us with you wherever you want to go. Maybe like me tonight, and this is weird because don't have to get up tomorrow morning, right? I will be doing one thing and one thing only, and that is watches the Ashes. It kicks off, well, not kicks off, it bowls off, you know what I'm saying. Tomorrow morning, 2 a.m. When you talk cricket, when you talk Ashes, you need an Ashes hero. You need a cricket hero. We tried that, but we couldn't find one. We ended up with Darren Gough. Hello, Dazzler. How are you, me old son?
Hey, you'll never change, mate, will you? That's why I love you.
How's that golf swing?
Mate, it's doing well, mate. I'm playing more golf than you at the moment. Yeah, that's nothing else to do, so game of golf every day when it's possible. Not today.
Well, listen, I'm off to Spain at the weekend. The son's now off whatever, plus something. He's in the Junior European Open, so I've now become a sort of golf dad, mate. I just follow him around dreaming that he'll make it on tour and I can give it all up. Mate...
You're not caddying?
What?
I thought you'd be caddy.
No, it's got a caddy with a bib and everything. I just have to stand behind a tree and do the driving. Daz, great to have you on. 2 o'clock tomorrow morning. It's the biggest series that there is in cricket, let's say that. And for England, an away test series in Australia. How many did you go on? How many did you go to in Australia?
Me, played in 4 Ashes series. Well, 5. One I didn't make it to the first test. Came home, ended my career, basically. But I played in 2 at home, 2 away. Lost all 4, mate. So I haven't got a great record. Individually, I did really well. I won man of the match on a couple of occasions, got an hat-trick, the only one of the century, and a few fifers, so I did pretty well. But as a team, we didn't do very well at all. It's not an easy place to tour, but it's the ultimate tour. If you have success in an Ashes series, you've seen, it puts you into superstardom mode. Yeah. Ben Stokes is already one of the greatest cricketers England have ever had. We win the Ashes in Australia and he goes into a different level. He becomes an absolute superstar.
It's interesting if you look at the team, the picture team of 12, I think it'll be 5 pace bowlers. I think Akbar won't play, but it's really interesting for me. The Aussies have trouble. Their press will do the usual stuff they're doing. Their captain can't play in the first test. Do you genuinely, not just that blind British hope that we always have, do you actually genuinely think the guys have a chance this time?
I think they have got a chance. I have said my prediction, if I was going to put my house on it or my own money on it, I would go for an Australia 3-2 victory. And that kills me to say that. It really, really does. But I'll say it again. The first test is in Perth, not Brisbane. We win in Perth. The second test becomes a shootout because it's a toss of a coin. It's a day-night test. Controversial test match. Anything can happen. Depends which side you get at the toss, when you're bowling, when the wickets fall, because under lights it does a little bit more. Australia have got a good record under lights. And if you win the first one, and then the second one it goes your way with the toss of the coin and everything else, you could be 2-0 up and the Ashes is over, basically. So England have got that chance. And with the fast bowlers I've talked about now for 3 weeks, first test, hit them with our quickest bowlers, as long as they're all fit. And it looks like we are going to go for the extra fast bowler because that rest Wood then only bowls 12 overs in the day. Stokes probably only bowls 2 spells in the day. So we're keeping them fresh for later on in the series. We get off to a flyer, we could easily win the series 3-2. I don't think there'll be draws unless we get rain. This test match should last 4 days, mate.
Completely agree with that. And actually, for the first time, I'm glad actually Mark Wood has recovered from that hamstring, tight hamstring, they say, and will line up with Jofra Archer. 2 world beaters and 2 cricketers who can bowl it as fast as anybody in the world. And that's what those Australian pitches, you would know this better than anyone, they're fast tracks. There probably won't be the need for a spinner. I just feel, listen, we all fell into that Bazball stuff, Daz, right, didn't we? You know, and it was entertaining. I think there's more in the core of this British team, and I agree with you about about Ben Stokes. I think Ben Stokes, there's just something about him, pal, isn't there?
Absolutely. He's a born leader. He's not bothered about any publicity. The image I still think's absolutely iconic is him walking through Perth Airport with the smallest cricket bag ever, an overnight bag, and his golf clubs. I still think, for me, that is the ultimate. We're here to enjoy Australia. We're here to win the Ashes, but we're also here to enjoy your wine, eat your food, and play golf. Because we want to enjoy the country. It's a beautiful country. When we went, mate, honestly, our golf clubs were ushered out of the back door, so nobody wanted to see them. They didn't want to think we were going to be playing golf while we were on an Ashes.
Why not?
But Ben Stokes walked straight through there in front of all that media with his golf clubs. And there's a belief in this team, and I mean this, there's not been a belief like this since Andy Flower in 2010, where everybody believes in each other. The leader sends nothing but a positive message out, but we are here to beat Australia. We're not here just to go down 4-0 again or 5-0 again. We're here to actually win.
Yep.
It might not happen, but the belief in this team is nothing but a victory.
I completely agree. You'll be watching too. Very quickly, are you heading out there at all, or are you staying in the UK?
Well, you know, I was going to go to this test match, but unfortunately, I have bad news. My mum died about 2.5 weeks ago, and the funeral is on Monday. So, unfortunately, I'm not going to go to Perth now. I might go out to Adelaide. I'm thinking about that. But I like Christmas at home, mate. I've done all the hot Christmases. I like a cold Christmas, mate.
Listen, our thoughts, mate, about your mum and your family, but we always appreciate it. You're an absolute legend. He hasn't got the best golf swing, but he pretends that he has. Darren Gough, look at his face. He can't take it. Good man. Former England, Essex and Yorkshire cricketer, legend. The Ashes, 2 a.m. this morning. Live. You can get all the latest on our sister station, Talk Sport. What is it? Almost 9. We'll do the news next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Just gone 9 o'clock. We're live across the UK on this. Well, this is Talk, where the nation comes to speak the home of common sense. Your reaction to the day's news is what we're after on text 87222. Start your message with the word talk. Or your voice notes 0344 499 1000. You're waking up. Oh, maybe you're not waking up. Maybe you are. Waking up to the news that nearly 500 migrants a day are signing up for benefits. This is to a system that is over-bloated, stretched to its back teeth. We're going to have to pay more taxes next week on almost anything that moves, because this government says, well, quite rightly, we're skint. We are skint because of their incompetence, but let's just give out more benefits to migrants. What have they done today? 500 more breakfast clubs. Let's just create breakfast clubs. What about people, I say, and I say it every day, who go to work and pay their taxes and live their lives within the confines of the law? The British public is at stretching. They're at breaking point. They've had enough. Ed Miliband, this is a pro-net zero report today, saying we acknowledge that in trying to achieve this, your energy bills have got up by another £150. Oh, sorry, I thought they were going to come down. They've already gone up. They've doubled. Net zero, the biggest waste of money that God ever created. Billions and billions to do what? To get where? Does anybody else really care about it? The BBC today in the spotlight, again, being accused by parents of damaging kids with their constant drip feed of pro-trans bias. I have to read this out because it's ludicrous. Here's an example. Doctors on the BBC. Woman says to whoever, I knew my 6-year-old daughter was trans. It's on television on the BBC. How did you know that? Well, her best friend's a boy and she gets muddy quite a lot when she goes outside. Are our kids seriously being told this? It's an absolute disgrace. Now, obviously, we've got a Russian warship somewhere near British waters, and most people are concerned in many ways about many things. But you lot, because you're unique, has grasped hold of one story today and gone with it. Overnight, our Prime Minister, I don't know who the hell told him this was a good idea, thought that on International Men's Day he'd send an open letter to his 17-year-old son, who is now hiding at home and refusing to go to school. Have a listen to this wooden, monotone, emotionless attempt at being a dad. Have a watch.
A letter to my son. It feels like only yesterday that we brought you home. So nervous, but so excited for the journey ahead. Today, almost unbelievably, you're already 17. You're taller than I am. And you've grown into a confident, kind, wonderful young man. I remember when we watched Adolescence together. And as a dad, it was tough to see at times. If I had one message for you, and for every other child growing up, it would be this: don't listen to that voice.
What voice? What voice? What voice? What voice? No, Farage's voice. That's what he's saying. Morning, Terry.
Thank you for your lovely letter. I know how tough it was for you growing up, having to find the money to feed the donkeys in Nan and Grandad's field, what you bought him. Grandad having his own tool company, and how you had to all sit round the 20-seat kitchen table to work out how to pay the bills. It just chokes me up. Thank goodness for Uncle Ali clothing you and Mum, buying your new specs. It's just heartbreaking. And thanks to him, I could study in this exclusive bachelor penthouse pad so I could pass my A-levels. Also thanks to Uncle Millipede for his nut zero ideology. It's a real hoot at school. And Auntie Ange for teaching me about evading stamp duty. And no doubt Auntie Rach is going to flush the country down the drain with her budget. Just to let you know, I'm off to Dubai. Thanks, Dad. Bye.
That's somebody pretending to send a letter as to Keir Starmer's son. My God, honestly, 7 minutes past 9. Listen, in the midst of all the misery in this country, it's quite nice to have a laugh. 0344 499 1000, text to 87222. I'm slightly in awe of our next guest, and I genuinely, she'll just laugh at me. Former Home Office Minister, but now Reform UK's Immigration and Justice spokeswoman, Anne Widdecombe. Good morning.
Good morning to you.
How very good to have you on. Have we ever spoken?
We have once or twice, yes.
It was obviously forgettable for you, but very good. Welcome. Did you see that appalling open letter from Keir Starmer to his son?
Well, I had to check the date that it wasn't April the 1st. Because I can't believe that any dad would actually do that to his son, would embarrass him like that and, make public a a series of statements which in private, you know, are completely unexceptional and you know, might encourage the son. But it's just beyond me. But then most of what Keir Starmer does is beyond me.
Before we get specific, actually, as the man, and you were a politician and are a politician of many years standing, I don't think I've ever, Anne, and I'm 60, seen somebody of whichever gender be so lacking in what I call political DNA. I've always believed that politicians, obviously we probably respond more to conviction politicians, but we hear all the barbs, he's over-promoted. He just doesn't seem to be able to put his finger on the pulse of almost anything. I just don't ever look at him and think, yeah, you passionately believe that. You are able to have a discussion about why that would be a good thing. He's one of those politicians who's so, I think, rinsed by... I mean, you imagine that he does nothing or says nothing without a focus group, and I think the British people firmly believe that, don't you?
Oh, I mean, I don't think anybody would say that Keir Starmer is an inspiring figure. And maybe that's why he resents Nigel Farage so much, because Farage has got charisma, he's got appeal, he can, you know, get in touch with and articulate the views of the man on the Clapham omnibus. And Keir Starmer simply can't. And it speaks volumes for the dearth of talent in the Labour Party that he ever became their leader, that he ever became Prime Minister, because you think, well, what on earth must the opposition have been like if that is what we ended up with?
I agree. And just quickly before we go specific, many people, I mean, yesterday, just now, actually, I think we heard that Andy Burnham, the mayor of Manchester, not ruling out a bid. Yesterday, that odious left-wing MP, Clive Lewis from Norwich, I think, in Norfolk, said that he would resign his seat so that Andy Burnham could enter the Commons to challenge Keir Starmer. The vultures are circling. He's sat in Downing Street almost incapable of making a decision without asking, well, his backbenchers who won't allow anything to happen. Is he a dead man walking, Anne Widdecombe?
Oh, I don't think that, I mean, I've no doubt that this government is going to last because of its majority, but I don't see Keir Starmer lasting as leader much beyond the end of this year. But I would say this to Andy Burnham, you know, typical Labour, just taking for granted that, you know, he can walk into a seat and that naturally the electors will choose him. You know, they won't choose Reform, they won't choose some other party, they'll choose him, of course they will. Just that arrogance, that sheer arrogance of thinking that because a constituency has voted Labour and is looked upon as safe, therefore all he's got to do is just walk in. Now, you know, I can remember, and it's going back so long that most other people won't, I can remember when a Labour ex-minister called Patrick Gordon-Walker stood not once but twice in seats that he was supposed to win, and the electorate said no. So, you know, Andy, just don't assume you can just take your electors for granted, because you can't.
And let's absolutely call, this is me, Andy Burnham, out right now. And, you know, everybody knows I voted Reform. There are 5 seats in Manchester, OK? If you look at Reform's polling across the United Kingdom, and Anne will know that I'm right about this, every single seat in Manchester is dominated right now in the polls by one party, and that is Reform. And if if Andy Burnham is true to his Manchester roots, as he goes on about the whole time, should he not be standing in his local community? The truth is he wouldn't get elected in Manchester right now, and you're dead right, Anne Widdecombe. He's going to, what, parachute into somewhere else just to achieve political greatness? Not right. The big problem, I think, with so many politicians nowadays, Anne, is that they take the British people for granted, and I see a major seismic shift. I don't think the people will have that anymore. I genuinely believe that.
I mean, I think that's absolutely right. I think there is a seismic shift. There's no sign whatever of it abating. It's actually growing. And, you know, in the past, people have thought, well, it's OK. You know, if they had a Labour government doing badly, they would think, well, it's OK. You know, the Tories will come along and put it right. And if they had a Tory government that was doing badly, they thought, oh, Labour will come along and put it right. But now they know of their own experience in recent years, neither party is going to put it right, and they're looking for an alternative.
I couldn't agree more. Let's talk specifically. Interestingly, today, a couple of stories in the papers, nearly 500 migrants a day signing up to benefits. One of the things that we've talked about incessantly, I know Nigel has as well, is this drain. And again, I bring it back to the British public. I think for years, Anne, and you were in government, the British people have always put their hands in their pocket. Morally, we've sort of led the world. The truth is we're skint. The truth is we can't afford the interest on our debts. And I think the British public are so fed up with living their lives correctly and being 28th in the queue. And whether it's, you know, benefits, the welfare benefits, the argument's always difficult because the genuine people say we're going to be screwed. My argument is if we're spending benefit money on people who've broken into our country illegally, the genuine people are surely missing out, aren't they?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, anybody who comes here unlawfully and from a safe country, which applies to all the boat migrants because they come from France, should not get benefits. Rather, when they arrive, they should be detained in secure reception centres where their basic needs like food and warmth and medicine will be catered for. And they do not therefore need money. And above all, of course, the biggest deterrent that we can give to anybody contemplating coming on a boat is that you won't be free, you won't go into a hotel, you won't be able to scarper at the last minute. We're not going to be feeding you regular supplies of money every week. That then is a deterrent. At the moment, we're the softest touch in the West, and it's not surprising they want to come here. And if I were in their shoes, I'd want to come here because if I tried to claim asylum in France, it would be a very different story.
It is beyond me, and I know I'm getting old and cranky. There is not a country in the world that I could go to illegally, be put in a 4-star hotel, be given a mobile phone, a credit card, dental treatment, doctor treatment, Pilates classes, and even then, if they say it's time to go, they give me 3,000 that needs being changed, doesn't it?
Absolutely. I've said for a long time, the only way you will stop the small boats is if nobody wants to get on one. That's the only way you'll stop it. And that means making the country unattractive to illegal migration. It means reversing all the messages that we send out at the moment, which is, you know, you'll be cosseted, you'll be put in hotels. OK, you know, when we say 4-star hotels, they don't live in 4-star conditions. They share rooms and all the rest of it.
Better than a beach tent in France, though, isn't it?
It's vastly better than a tent in Sangad, of course it is. But the tent in Sangad is only occupied because they're intending to come to Britain.
Absolutely.
It's not as if they're escaping that fate. They've come through many safe countries. That's why I've said for a long time now, you know, if you come from a safe country, no claim for asylum, because you could have made it in another safe country.
Well, and I go further. I agree with you. I say it every day until people in this building are bored of it. If I was escaping a war-torn country, Anne, I'd bring my wife and kids with me. I wouldn't leave them to the bombs. And the first country I got to where they weren't raining down on me head, I'd go, phew, I'm here. But no, you're right. The pull of Great Britain and what we give is so great. There was another story this morning I'd love your take on. The government announced, I yawn, try not to. The government has announced the rollout of 500 more breakfast clubs. And I thought, not because I'm trying to be contentious, but because I was brought up, I know, look, she's doing exactly what my mother would have done. For me, it's really simple. And this argument this next week, they say in the budget of we're going to end the cap on 2 kids, which will say to the feckless, keep procreating, we'll do whatever. I am more than happy, as I'm sure you are, to pay tax for those who can't help themselves, be it benefit, be it breakfast clubs and whatever. But I'd like to ask this, and I'd like to ask you, how difficult is it to feed your child? And if your child is created by you, do we not have a responsibility that is not the state's responsibility to look after our own?
Well, the point is that every parent has a responsibility, and there are many, many parents, Jeremy, because we know this from polls which are done. There are many, many parents who would like to stay at home and bring their children up, but one of the partners, to stay at home and bring their children up while the other one goes out and earns the paper. And we know that from polls. It's not just old-fashioned thought. But they can't do it. And the government is almost turning the country into the sort of, and I say almost, situation that you had in Soviet Russia, whereby everybody had to work and you dumped your children in state nurseries. I believe that we should help families who want to look after their own children, and that we should be discouraging rather than encouraging parents to handing the responsibility over to somebody else. I mean, the appalling thing is that parents who do decide that one of them will stay at home and bring the children up, at any rate while they're small, if they do decide that, they are being taxed to subsidise the career ambitions of families where both parents go out to work. That isn't fair. And yet, when you look back to Cameron and Osborne's changes, you know, you get the impression that they would never be satisfied until every single woman in the country was out working. We need to stop, we need to think, we need to say, yes, we do need people to work. But on the other hand, we also need people to bring up their children in a stable, responsible
Well,
way.
I tell you, obviously, you and I are on the same page completely. I was brought up by a lady who worked and brought up her kids, and my wife at the moment is just about the best mother ever. I couldn't do her... She's a stay-at-home mum, right? I could not undo her job if you offered me £1 million a year. I think we've forgotten how difficult being a mother is. Absolutely go to work, but don't be derided for staying at home and looking after your kids. Can I ask you finally, so good to have you on, interesting, this is from the pro-net zero lot this morning, or net stupid zero, as Richard Tice says. Ed Miliband's energy plan, this is from pro-net zero people, they've said today in the Times, means you will definitely be paying higher bills way into the 2030s. This report says that Ed's clean power plan will add more than 150 quid to your annual electricity bill. Now, yeah, I love Anne Wood. Can she come on every day? She's shaking her head like I do. You know, let's strip everything of normal, put up wind farms which don't blow enough, and when they do it costs more because we can't store it anywhere. Then we import it. I mean, honest to God, this ideology is going to bankrupt a country even more that's on its arse, isn't it? I mean, that's the reality.
It's already bankrupting the country, but just ask yourself this, what's it in aid of? We produce in this country 1%, less than 1% of all the world's carbon emissions. You know, China, the States, India, they produce about half between them. Now, you know, why are we penalising our citizens, making them install expensive boilers, buy cars they don't want to buy, electric cars? Why are we actually penalising our citizens for the fact that we already don't contribute very much to global warming? Now, you know, it is disproportionate. That's the word I always use. It is disproportionate. It is ideologically driven. And thank heaven, and at last, the nation is beginning to wake up.
I can't believe that somebody said to me that there's a sort of an enlightenment moment amongst the ruling class, that the liability caused by this net zero madness might not go in their favour with the electorate. But what chance have we got? How long were you in the House of Commons for, Anne?
23 years.
23 years. Your response, finally, before you let you go, to a Labour MP, she's probably about 11, Kat Eccles, who shouted at Shabana Mahmood, who stood up on Monday and did her best. I mean, I've never heard rhetoric like that for a long time, certainly not from a Labour politician. We know none of it will work because of the left wing, but let's give credit where credit's due. And Kat Eccles, God knows where she's MP for, stood up and shouted at Shabana Mahmood, "You're just trying to do what impresses the electorate." And everybody went, well, they voted for you, you stupid. Do you know, unbelievable. Politicians need to listen to the British public right now, probably more than ever in their history, don't they, Anne Widdecombe?
They do, and the more that we listen, the more that we can lead. That is something that I think is not appreciated. And if you look at the big leaders of our time, Winston Churchill, Margaret Thatcher, people who really knew how to lead, was because they also listened. And they understood what people were worried about and concerned about. Now, as far as net zero goes, the politicians have just ridden over the people for decades, you know, not listened. And suddenly, quite suddenly it is, the electorate have woken up to the fact that, you know, maybe this isn't quite such a good idea. And maybe, you know, we should wait for some other countries to take action before we drive ourselves into the ground for very little indeed.
Couldn't agree more. Will you come back? We love having you on. Will you come back?
As often as you want me.
Excellent. Anne Widdecombe, so good to have you, former Home Office Minister and Reform's new UK Immigration and Justice spokesperson. All morning, Keir Starmer's letter to his son, his open letter, saying, I know you're 17 and taller than me. We go to Arsenal and we have takeaway. It doesn't rhyme. But whatever you do, son, as you get older, don't listen to that voice. But anyway, great response. Play the music. This is the best yet. When you can. Oh dear Keir, I wish you were here in my freezing cold house as I shiver with my spouse. You and Rachel thieves have brought my country to its knees. You've stolen from the farmers and the old. The Chagos Islands you have sold. Your mass immigration is ruining our nation. You're cold and deceiving with your two-tier policing. Now do us a favour and bugger off. Morning, Maz!
Dear Keir, what's going on here? We're like North Korea and we're all living in fear. But I won't shed a tear. I'll just pour a beer and chink glass to a cheer for when you're not here. Maz the poet.
In terms of your question around taxes, there are no additional tax rises needed beyond the ones that I've set out.
Don't need to increase taxes. I'm not coming back with more borrowing or more taxes.
I will not increase your national insurance. I will not increase your VAT, and I will not increase your income tax.
We don't need to come back for more. We've done that now. We've wiped the slate clean. The economic circumstances have declined, deteriorated since a year ago. We are having to look at tax.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, my friends. 9:25. We're live across the UK and Talks, where the nation comes to speak, and we continue at 10 o'clock with the legend that is Julia Hartley-Brewer, the Queen of Westminster, from 10 until 1. Is it Ian Collins this afternoon? Or because yesterday I said it was Ian Collins, and it wasn't. It was JG, Jonathan Gullis, ex-MP, desperate for a job. Joking. Anyway, Ian Collins, the housewife's choice, back. I wondered why my wife was miserable on the phone last night. Now I know. The dulcet tones of Collins had been spared her for an afternoon. Thank you for all your response today. Not only were we talking about Keir's open letter, also the government announcing the rollout of 500 more breakfast clubs. Many of us saying, understand the people who need it. But hold on a second, right? Kids going to school without their teeth cleaned or potty trained or breakfast. Is that not the responsibility? Morning, Amy.
You're talking about breakfast clubs. I just wanted to say, because I think people have got the wrong end of the stick about this, breakfast clubs mainly are used by parents or a parent who works. So the feeding part, the breakfast part, isn't really the main issue. And a lot of people, I think, are assuming that those on benefits use it. Well, those on benefits usually aren't up as early as those who work to take their kids to breakfast club. I mean, my brother and myself have used breakfast clubs because we work. So, I mean, my son no longer needs them, but it was because we were up early and we had to travel into work.
Really important to get both sides of the coin, and Amy makes a really, really salient point, which is many people who work use those breakfast clubs because they need to get to work early. And I completely take that point. And my kids' school, there's an early club, a breakfast club. There is, though, Amy, examples of where they do have breakfast. And I mean, you touched upon it, you know, people dropping their kids off because they can't be bothered to either get up or do something. I just think it's one of those discussions, Ames, that we need to have, because I think we're getting to a point where, you know, people are going, hold on a minute. But it does beg the question as well, how difficult is it to feed your kids? Not the people who are going to work and have fed their kids breakfast, the ones who are pitching their kids up at school, badly dressed, badly washed, just not having eaten. This is I mean, Chris says, morning, Jez, my mum brought 9 of us up in the 50s and early 60s. We were poor. Dad worked, mum stayed at home. We always had, and I remember this, he says distinctly, a hot bowl of porridge in the winter morning, toast in the summer. We came home at lunch and had a sandwich, and she always cooked a meal for dinner. My parents went without, he said. Today's parents have a tattoo or the latest phone. You can't say that that's not a fact, and you can't say it's not a fact as well. What Amy said, that many people want to use those clubs, whether there's food or not involved, because they are working. 9:30. There was a story out today that just, again, leaves us all cold here. Hundreds of parents have accused the BBC of damaging their children with a constant drip feed of pro-trans bias. One example was an episode of Doctors, the BBC sort of daytime drama, where a mother said, and I quote, I know my 6-year-old was transgender because his best friend was a boy and she likes getting muddy a lot. It does beg the question, how much are we pushing that upon our kids? We talk about universities, we talk about stereotypes, we talk about this ideological-based educational system. Malcolm Clark is a documentary maker. He's also got a Substack on gender issues. Malcolm, a very good morning. Welcome to Morning Glory. You OK?
Hi there, Jeremy. How are you doing?
I'm good, my friend. As a father of 6 who feeds them all breakfast, I'd like to make that point, it frightens me, genuinely, whatever form of education, be it public school, private school, whatever, comrade school, we are beginning to get to a point where parents are fearing what their kids are being told. I mean, I gave an example very quickly of my son's speech day last year. I've told the story before. They employed somebody from the BBC, Andy Zoltzmead, as a Today programme sort of quiz. And he was paid a fee to come and talk to the kids. There were 1,000 people in a tent, parents and all. And for the first 3 minutes, Malcolm, it was funny. And then he literally looked at the kids and said, you have been let down by your parents. They voted against Brexit. They voted trans issue. I mean, I literally would have walked, but everybody would have looked. And we came out, I told this story some weeks ago, and the headmaster said, that was good, wasn't it? And I went, I thought it was absolutely appalling and one-sided. I thought it was indoctrinatory, and I think it was an absolute disgrace. And he looked shocked. I worry what schools are doing. Would that be fair?
Oh, from schools to broadcasters to the health service, institutions all over Britain were captured over a decade ago by lobby groups, completely partial lobby groups. There's a clue in the word lobby, like Stonewall. They took them over, and nobody said anything at the time, but their ideas of these lobby groups percolated through these institutions, and it's now taken for granted by the liberal great and good that it's a good thing to tell kids that they might be trans, they might be born in the wrong body. I mean, over a decade ago, if you told a child that they might be born in the wrong body, you would quite rightly be called out, because that's a terribly unhealthy thing to say to a child. But I think it's great that the Telegraph has this article about the parents group, because I think the BBC is desperate to move on. Tim Davie and the head of news said that they apologised for the Trump edit, and that's what the BBC wants to focus on. It wants to focus on this apparent one-off, because that's easy. They can just, that's water off a duck's back. The really big issue is the one that this letter is about. It's about a decade-long indoctrination of the public on our dime. I mean, we pay for the BBC, and yet the BBC entered this arrangement with Stonewall, and they agreed that the output of the BBC would reflect the values of Stonewall. I mean, I was involved in 2021 in complaining, along with the Bayswater Group, these parents, about a BBC Schools video that actually told kids there were more than 100 genders. Now, this is ludicrous, and this video went through some of them. There were pansexual, this was to primary school kids. You could be queer gender. I mean, what does queer gender mean to an 8 or a 9-year-old? Absolutely outrageous. And eventually they withdrew that Schools video, but the BBC press press release complained that it had been misrepresented. Their work was being willfully misrepresented. I don't know how you can misrepresent a video that tells kids there's more than 100 genders. So that's going on all the time, and all the BBC output reflects this same sort of jargon, this nonsense, and this idea that you cannot change sex. That's a fact. And if the BBC tells parents, the public, that people can change sex, that in itself is a lie.
I mean, I look, I've got 6 kids. I do my absolute best. I mean, do you remember the Tavistock debacle? I mean, I think one of the biggest and most disgusting... We've talked about the infected blood scandal, quite rightly. We've talked about the post office scandal, Sustain. Giving children puberty blockers for years, and nobody thought that that was sheer madness. The over-sexualisation of our kids. Kids are incredible, they're a pain, they're brilliant, they're annoying, all those sorts of things, but you do sit and you do think as a parent, and even a sane human being, what is behind this madness? Why have we got to a point where, look, you say it to them and they go, well, that's my normal. Right, fine, but what about my normal? No, your normal's outrageous and homophobic and racist and far right and disgusting, and you should be cancelled and trodden into the earth, and Churchill caused every problem in the world and I think you should die. I mean, that's how it feels. And yet, if you strip back the way this has just conditioned people... I have a daughter who's at university, and she said, it's extraordinary what they're told. They were told in one lecture that the British Army and the British government has caused every world war in the world. It's all our fault. No, but you laugh, but you think to yourself, well, if they're telling students that, who are setting up their pro-Palestinian camps, they march, don't they? Only during the term they go home to their parents' houses in Mallorca. It's a bit like those Just Oil activists. And then you tell 6-year-olds you could be transgender because you get muddy. I literally at 60, not fear for our future, but I am turning into my dad every morning, and I make no apology for it. I can't have it, and I'll fight it forever. I think it's wrong. I really do, Malcolm. I think it's disgusting.
Oh, the connection between everything from the anti-Israel stuff to the Just Oil to the net zero and this trans stuff, they're all connected by these fringe far-left groups who despise anything that is normal, that is stable, that involves stable families and living, respectful lives and paying your taxes. It's a sort of, and I don't, the trans stuff has been seized on because it is seen as a way of disrupting the family and normal society. And obviously, if you tell children that they are another sex or they've got 15 genders within their body, it disrupts their sense of reality and their ability to judge what is reality. And I think I've always said that there's only one group of people who would really like to keep children in their prepubescent bodies. And I'm convinced that a lot of the agitation for puberty blockers is based on, we've banned organizations like Paedophile Information Exchange. It would be illegal to set up an organization that promotes paedophilia. But it's seen as normal for these giant LGBTQ groups to promote the idea that you should medically keep children from maturing in their own bodies. And that's the sort of thing that Pi would have loved 20 years ago. I'm convinced that the people that used to be in Pi are involved in some of these LGBT organisations, because nobody but them would want to keep children from maturing in their own bodies.
And what I find so astonishing as well, from a sort of a viewpoint of watching this, right? Do this, but yes, but just listening to this argument is, obviously I come from this sort of common sense angle, right? But when you try and have a debate with any of these people, you just can't. And I've always believed that healthy debate, as we try here, pros and cons. Everybody has a right to an opinion in democracy. That's where people come. But I just don't get this closed mind, I'm right, you're all weird, you all need to be cancelled. Listen, I fear for our kids' future. You need to make a documentary on it. I'm always available. Malcolm Clark, thank you very, very much indeed. Documentary maker with the Substack. Really? Is that where you're going to get your morning roll? Joke. Gender issues. What's going on? Oh, my God. My parents on £4 a week, £400 a month in today's value, got no award for giving me breakfast throughout my childhood, even though it was normal, says Sam Murdoch in Croydon. Thank you very much indeed. Dave H. Is it H or H? Morning team, my son and grandchild visited yesterday. I asked the child, my grandchild of 13, if they knew what poverty was. She didn't have a clue, so her father explained. I then asked, do you go to breakfast clubs? Yes, she said. What did you have to eat? A bagel. You imagine a bagel? Good God. Jan, good morning.
Morning, Jeremy. So, according to your last caller, it's the breakfast clubs are about helping working parents get to work. So, therefore, they can pay for that breakfast. 60p a head, which is what the government is giving the schools. They can't afford that and they're working.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
We're having an argument. No, we're not. It's friendly. 20 minutes to 10 o'clock. Julia from 10 and Ian, the sex god Collins, here from 1 o'clock this afternoon. Thank you so much indeed for tuning in to Morning Glory. So many people getting involved. Tony, Jez always watch the show. I get up every morning at 4:30 a.m, travel 2 hours to get to work, do a 12-hour shift, travel 2 hours to get home. And why do I do this? To set an example to my kids, as I have morals. Great show. Chris is in Lancashire. Good morning. Only last year, Starmer claimed he needed to move into Lord Ali's house to protect his son from press intrusion. Then he puts this letter out. Seems a bit hypocritical how he uses this letter for some warped political gain. Cliff in Berkshire. I've just found out about the voice Two-Tier is telling his son not to listen to. Apparently it's you on Talk, Jez. Maybe. Shane's in Bournemouth. Morning, Shane. Oh! Just to point out, it's not just children turning up to school with unbrushed teeth. I work with a number of men, who turn up to work with breath smelling like a cesspit. Well, I tell them, say, "Oh, it's stinky. Just have a wash. Kate in Warwickshire, good morning. Your average 17-year-old would be utterly mortified by Starmer's narcissistic release and bloody adolescence, for God's sake, give me a break. Tim from the London Borough of Bromley. It's not really the London Borough, though. It's Kent, isn't it, mate? Come on. Dear Keir, your lousy left-wing government is taking us all up the arsenal. Brilliant. Thank you very much indeed. Hello to Chris. I'm sure that was... Jez, to my dad, Keir, what have you just... No, what you have just done has made me look a laughingstock to all of my mates. Don't you realise you're so despised? It's affecting me. Please, Dad, if you love me, could you stand down and then I might get some friends again? God! Yes. Oh, well, Maggie says it's actually not Jeremy Carl's voice in Keir Starmer's head. It's Nigel Farage's. I think you're dead right. Sarah, dear Keir, get a grip, man. For Christ's sake, it's embarrassing. You're an international embarrassment. Please stop. Please go. And that's from 99.9% of the United Kingdom. And finally, Jason's in Hereford, home of the SAS. Dear Keir, I don't need words to show my kids how much I love them. I'm simply a dad. Why didn't you try it? Good line. Loads and loads of you getting involved. If you have sent a message, we'll do our best. But so many of you, and we really appreciate it. Keep your voice notes coming as well. What is it? Almost 9:45. Delighted now to be joined by Robert Bates, Research Director, Centre of Migration. Good morning. Where are you, man? It's dark. Have you got no light? What's going on?
It's atmospheric. No, I've gone for an atmosphere. Unfortunately, the light bulb's on the off. So
you know why? Because the wind hasn't blown. You see, we're screwed. See, now he's in the dark. See, he can't afford his electricity bill.
It's the case of the future. Thanks, Ed.
Yeah. Well, apparently there was a policy document out today that even the pro net zero lot reckon bills are going up by 150 quid. So you won't be able to see, and you'll be skint as well, Robert. Welcome to the show, mate. This is the day that we discover 500 migrants are signing up to benefits. But the story that you've got, which is extraordinary. French police are going to use nets to intercept migrants trying to cross the channel, despite fears that the tactic could lead to nets. What are we talking about, like fishing nets?
Well, that's what it kind of looks like, doesn't it? The headline makes it seem like you've got sort of French police officers running around with nets trying to catch migrants.
The shock is, Robert, the shock is that the French police are prepared to do anything. Because usually they sit on their arses and don't take the money from us. Come on.
Well, I don't think they will be doing anything. I think, again, this is another instance of the Home Office getting very excited about some really intricate procedures that they think will make a good headline and try and convince the British public that matters are being dealt with in a forthright manner. This is another instance of the government effectively lying to the British public. We saw it recently with this idea that they're going to be seizing, tens of thousands of pounds worth of jewellery off individuals arriving in the UK. It is all performative nonsense, and it is all done because the government knows it has lost control in the English Channel. 2025 will be the second highest year of small boats crossings. I think Keir Starmer really has probably got one of the worst records of any Prime Minister now when it comes to this crisis. These are the Starmer boats, definitively. So anything they can get their hands on, any agreement that they might have reached in paper with the French government, they are going to be desperately trailing in the papers. But we've seen, for the last few years, the French are very, very keen to take on money. They're less keen to actually do anything about it on the coastline. So I really think, again, this is another instance of us being fed what is effectively a lie in the hope that in the hope on the behalf of the government that we will fall for it and think, we can rest easy now. This channel crisis will be coming to an end soon. I
must be really old-fashioned, Robert, because for me, there is nothing more simpler than dealing with this crisis. Even people in this building raise their eyes when they're going to say it again. The biggest thing about this country is that the pull is so great. That is why people come. Yeah. Anne Widdecombe nailed it just now. If you make your country unattractive to people who haven't paid and shouldn't be here, because there isn't another goddamn country in the world that you can do this in, right? People won't come. I would recondition one of the biggest ocean liners I could find. I would train a crack team of immigration border force professionals. I wouldn't let anybody land in any boat. I would take them off the boats and put them on the liner. They would be literally processed within 24 hours offshore by that crack team. If you're in, red carpet. If you're not, you're going to a detention centre that ain't the Ritz. It's not going to go against human rights, I'm sure, because they'll jump up and down. But you know what? It's not going to be particularly nice. And you are going to send messages very quickly on the mobile phone I won't give you back to the people in your country, which is, do you know what? We can't take the pee out of the British anymore because all this let's leave a war-torn country, well, they don't. They come here. France isn't war-torn. Everybody knows, surely, Robert Bates, that we are a soft touch. Now, the difference, in my humble opinion, is we've now got to a point where the British public are struggling big time with the whole country, everything that's wrong under this government and just generally. And I think for the first time the British people will not stomach any more BS about this. I think it's quite a defining moment. I really do.
Well, I do think the government, with their recent pivot to tough rhetoric, have made a rod for their own backs, because in reality they are so fluffy and gooey on this issue that they won't actually accomplish what the British public really want to see. And you're absolutely right. The problem here isn't, that there's not enough nets on French beaches. The problem is that we are the soft touch, and the Home Office itself now admits that compared to other European countries, we really are a standout land of milk and honey, and this is why the numbers continue to increase. When it comes to processing as well, I think we should be a bit stricter than you suggested. I don't think we should even be sort of processing any asylum claims of those that are on a boat. I think the rule should be, if you've ever sat in one of these dinghies, you are never eligible to stay in Britain.
There's that argument, and it's a very good argument, because the argument is that you have a legal right or a legal pass to come into the United Kingdom, you bloody well get a plane, wouldn't you? You wouldn't be trying to do it illegally in the first place. So absolutely, but we're so wrapped up, Robert. You listen to that, the bit before about ideology in schools. We're so wrapped up on what I call nonsense and this gradual erosion of common sense that you end up going round and round in circles. I think it's madness. And of course, any time you have any of these conversations, the left go, oh my God, you heinous human being. But I think we need brave politicians who aren't concerned, Trump-esque, whether people choose to disagree with them or sue them or write terrible articles about them, because I think we've reached that moment. I really do.
Well, we need politicians that recognise that actually 2/3 of the whole population of this country want all illegal migrants deported. They don't want any of these caveats of, ensuring it's compliant with, ex-European Convention or the Refugee Convention or any of that kind of nonsense. They just want illegal migrants out of the country. Unfortunately, we've got the sort of residual legacy politicians mindset still ruling the roost at the moment, this idea that actually we have international obligations, we must uphold them. But I think there is a new wave of politics coming that is unashamedly assertive of the national interest above all else. So I do think we're going to have a few more tough years whilst this Labour government tie themselves in knots continually. But I think when it comes to 2029, what we will see probably for the first time in several decades is a government that is unashamedly in favour of Britain and not prepared to allow anything to sidetrack it from securing the best deal for the people of this country. I think actually what we have seen really is this asylum system has exploded sevenfold in its cost in just the last 4 or 5 years. This is something that is now we've done enough. The British people have done enough for this kind of asylum stuff. It's time to just put a complete freeze on actually the asylum system.
Mate, a real pleasure, seriously, fantastic. And just pay your electricity bill next time and then you will be able to see your face. The brilliant Robert Bates, Research Director for the Centre of Migration Control, 10 to 10. Dear Daddy, this is from Keir Starmer's son. This is an exclusive. Please stop writing me open letters through the newspapers. The only letter I need to read, Dad, is the one you send to the King to resign. Morning, Gaz.
Jez, stop the world. I want to get off. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning and I've been out on site where it's about -2, -3 degrees. I've called home to get a hat, gloves and a woolly hat, etc. Because it's that cold. Next door but one to me, there's a family of not from English descent, shall we say. They're in a rented accommodation. There's 2 adults and 2 very, very young kids. The father figure was packing his car with lots of suitcases, etc. And when I asked him what he was up to, he was going back to Somalia or somewhere like that, he said, because it was getting too cold. When I asked him what they're doing with the house, he said that the rent would still be getting paid. Shoot me now, because I am done.
Big news coming this December. Our talkTV app is moving to the Talk app. You can watch, catch up and listen to all your favourite shows and podcasts anytime, anywhere, all on the Talk app. From Monday, 1st of December, the talkTV app will no longer exist, so don't miss out. So head over to your App Store or Google Play and search Talk now.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, 5 to 10. Julia Hartley-Brewer from 10 o'clock. This morning, we just picked out this video overnight that Keir Starmer decided to send to his son saying, I can't believe you're 17 and I can't believe, you know, all these sorts of things. Don't listen to that voice. Good luck in your... Didn't go upstairs. God, you lot reacted. This is the best of Dear Keir letters from this morning.
Dear Keir, that toe-curling, vomit-inducing gump of a video is another new low for you. That wasn't from the heart. That wasn't you in your office on your phone. That was in front of a production team, a camera, your advisors. That's you trying to be in touch with the people of this country, but it hasn't worked. It's disgusting. And to use your own son is even more disgusting. Do the right thing. Resign.
I don't know about you, and I'm not being disrespectful. He didn't even sound like a father. An emotionless politician with no DNA. Why would you do that to your own son?
Seriously, that video is so depressing. I wasn't close to my dad. Well, he probably wasn't, because his dad already thought, wow, this guy's off his rocker. And going to the Arsenal and sharing other things, of course you would. If you're getting free tickets and free handouts, you will enjoy life. Very, very depressing, that video. Seriously, that shouldn't be played again. It should be banned.
Now, I think Jack might think he's a poet, right? Dear Keir, I know it's tough, and right you may be, for you brought it on yourself, you silly Billy. As night becomes day, we wish you would walk away. Listen to that voice. Which one? Nige, take the reins, please, for I have lost the plot, the party, and sadly the trust of the entire country.
Dear Keir, on International Men's Day, or as it probably be renamed International Persons Day, can it only be 16 months since you and your rabble were voted in? Believe me, it feels like a lot longer. You have taken our country that was mediocre at best to being now the laughingstock of the world and an absolute basket case. You've come in with the slogan of change, and boy, have you changed this country, certainly for the worst.
It is I, your son, writing to report catastrophic performance issues in your role, Dad, as Prime Minister. One, you said you'd bring real change, but the only change I've seen is you're changing your mind every 5 bloody minutes. Dad, your speeches are so dull they could come with a government health warning for extreme boredom. Even our houseplants tend to fall asleep, Mum says. 3, you talk endlessly about long-term decisions, yet you can't even decide what to have for dinner without launching a full internal review in the Starmer household. Stability. Dad, do me a bloody favour. The wobbly garden table has shown more stability than your entire cabinet. Dad, you keep insisting you have a bold vision for my country, but you can't even find your glasses, so how do you expect me to be convinced? Frankly, Dad, this nation deserves answers, and so do I, about how you managed to look exhausted when you actually seem to do nothing at all at work. I strongly recommend, Dad, immediate improvements. Failure to comply will result in the formation of a shadow dad with significantly better approval ratings. You're brutally honest, son.
If I had one message for you, and for every other child growing up, it would be this: don't listen to that voice.
What voice? What voice? What voice? Thank you very much to the team this morning. Top job, Christian and Marky and Tommy and Luke. Ladies and gentlemen, Julia Hartley-Brewer, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Beautiful in pink.
Thank you. I always worry what's coming next.
What are you talking about? Just got through a whole week being nice
You're getting
to each
even
other.
better than Georgina in terms of compliments. I would say Georgina, and then my husband way further down.
Well, there's a reason why your husband's further down, because he has to see you every hour of every day. Let's be honest. Do you know what I mean?
There is that.
4 hours a day's all right, but like 24. Busy day again.
Busy day, yeah. I'm going to talk about Ukraine, going to talk about the Epstein bill. We're going to, by the way, about Trump. Great stuff on Gaza. But yeah, why don't you just give away parts of Ukraine that Russia hasn't even occupied? I mean,